Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? I just want to give everybody a sec to get in here and get comfy. And I don't know, this is probably not going to be a super duper long one just because, I mean, it's not like a super duper involved case. It's an interesting case, but I don't know, depends on audience participation, I suppose, how long I'll stay live. Um, Hi, Molson man. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Oh, Schmid on the ball, highlighting comments. Hello, Sam. Hello, Team Psych Ward. Who else we got in here? Void. Let's see. How's everybody's Tuesday? Or for Sam, almost Wednesday? I don't like that you can't talk, Shmita. It's driving me bananas. It really is. It's weird having your name up here and not being able to like speak to you. It just feels weird and kind of uncomfortable. So I just want to give people a little bit of time still to come in just because you know how it is. People don't always get their notifications. And hi, Cement Shoes. And I know how slow the YouTubes is and how sometimey they can be. So I'm going to give people time. I think you guys will be interested in this case. I know when I looked it up, I was like, "Oh my gosh," just it's not even the most like gruesome one. I figured what I'd do is like work up to those cuz there are some that are kind of like, "Oh my god." Um but I figured I just kind of sort of like the 12 days of Christmas, but obviously horrors. So I would escalate the horrors as we get closer to Christmas. You know, I'm probably not going to heaven anyway, so I might as well not curtail my behavior even for Christmas. I'm probably not going to get visited by Santa Claus either because I'm a total heathen. Wayne, I don't know if Dr. B will be in tonight. I'm hoping that she joins us, but I'm not sure if she's going to be able to. So hopefully that doesn't deter you from staying and listening. I guess we can just go ahead and get started. Let me just add this to the stream real quick so you guys can see what we're going to start with. All right, ready? Here we go. All right. So the story that we're going to start with it's the murder of Samina Imam, and she was murdered by Roger and David Cooper, who were brothers. Okay, so this takes place. Hold on, I'm going to cough. Let me mute real quick. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Anyway, so this story took place in the UK in 2014. Okay, and how this no, Shamita. Shamita's not talking. The case is Samina is her name. Samina Iman. Shamita's not talking. She can't find headphones, so she won't come on panel because she said it'll be echoey or whatever. All right, so let's get started. So Roger Cooper and Samina Imam both worked at a Coventry Costco. Okay. Roger was the manager and Samina was a regional marketing boss. And that is how they list her. I'm going to say it'd be called something else or something similar, but that. Oh, hi. Can you guys hear me now? I don't even like doing this. I don't know why StreamYard locks up on me, and now I don't even know what all you guys heard. So I'm just going to start over and greet everybody. And hi, Max 2002. Hello, Shmita. Hello, Samantha. Hello, Team Psych Ward. Hello, Molson Man. Hello, Cement Shoes. Who else? Momo. Let me scroll up. Wayne Wilson. Boyd. Okay. So now everybody can hear. We're all good. Oh, okay. So you got to the jobs at Costco. All right. So they both worked at Costco and they were in this relationship for like 2 years. But the problem was that her the company policy was that there would be no inner office dating, okay? Because he was a manager at the Costco and then she was a regional marketing boss. So they weren't allowed to be dating. Okay, so they had to keep it secret. And then on top of that, Roger Cooper had a like long-term girlfriend. And so hold on a minute. Let me kick my other self from the studio so it doesn't even show me. All right. Anyway, so they they weren't allowed to be dating. All right. So and then he had a long-term partner. Okay. Well, this was Christmas time in 2014. All right. So on Christmas Eve of 2014, this was going to be the year for Samina. She was very excited. They were going to spend Christmas Day together. She had gotten a hotel room and at, hold on a second. At the I wrote it because I want to be able to make sure I say it right. The Malmaison Hotel in Birmingham. Okay. So she had rented this room. She had picked up a bottle of Bellini from the Costco and like she was super, super stoked, right? So she thought that what would end up happening is that they were going to spend Christmas together finally, right? And that in 2015 that they would be able to become an official out in public couple. Okay, so this was, she was super duper excited. Well, that was never going to happen. Roger never, ever intended on leaving his long-term girlfriend, ever. And what he was doing essentially was just stringing Samina along because he wanted his cake and he wanted to eat it too, but he was never going to leave the girlfriend. All right. And the more that she pushed, in fact, she had given him an ultimatum, and it was essentially, either you either pick me or I'm out. Right. And he panicked because what he feared was that he was going to lose his job because that she would tell. And then on top of it, he was going to lose his long-term girlfriend. So what he did was he went to his brother, David Cooper, and these two plotted her murder. Okay. Now they had attempted to murder her once before. So the first attempt took place on December 12th, 2014. All right. And what ended up happening with that is the brothers Roger knew because they were, dating or whatever. So Roger knew that she was going to be attending this Christmas party at a different hotel. Okay. And that she was going to be spending the night there. So what he told her was, I'm going to surprise you. All right. And so she is all excited. She goes to this Christmas party. But the real plan was for David to, he got a rented vehicle and he hid in the parking garage in that rented vehicle. And what he was supposed to do was abduct Samina before she even got to the party. Okay. And the way that the guys communicated was they used like codes from Star Wars. And so they sent texts, like one of them was Death Star complete, stay on target, you are expected Vader. Okay, well, the plan didn't work. They were, David was not able to abduct her, and she got out of her taxi cab and went into the hotel and everything was fine. But it did cause a kerfuffle between Samina and Roger because, he never showed up that night, right? So then we have to fast forward. All right. And they still, to this day, the cops don't know why that plan didn't work. What divine intervention, I don't know what it was, and neither do they, that caused the plan to be foiled. So then they decide 12 days later, all right, that they're going to do it again. Okay, but they have this time they're going to make sure everything goes according to plan. All right, so what happens is Samina and Roger, they leave work at the same time, but they leave in separate vehicles. Okay, and they drive off from the Costco and they meet up a little ways down the road. All right, Samina gets out of her vehicle and gets into Roger's vehicle, leaving her vehicle right there on the side of the road. All right. And like I said, they were headed to Birmingham. Yes, Molson, man, they always work with codes, with cases such as this. Look, you guys know that I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And if I were going to talk in code, those are not the codes that I would use. Okay. So I wouldn't be referencing the Death Star for sure. I might perhaps reference Alderaan, although I feel like that would be a little too on the nose. I don't know what. I don't know. I just don't think I would do it like that. But anyway, so, well, that's a good policy. Wayne, maybe if I ever make merch, I'm going to take that sentence and I'm going to put that slogan and I'm going to put it on some merch because people do need to be reminded frequently of this very situation because this happens a lot. It's never a good idea to get laid where you get paid. It's just bad business. So, okay. So she gets into his car and she leaves her car. All right. Well, um, they start to, Roger starts to drive off, but they're not going the right way. So they end up going to, I'm not going to say this right. I'm sorry if I offend any Brits. Leicester, okay, which is where David lived, right? And so Samina is like, what are we doing or whatever? And he says, oh, I just want to make, a quick stop at my brother's because that's where his brother David lived, right? And just before the Christmas, just before Christmas or whatever. So she says, okay. So they head that way. And it's in that drive that Samina's sister hears from her for the final time. She never speaks to her again. All right. So they get to David's house. And what is, yes, Samantha, Yoda, speak like Yoda. Do or do not, there is no try. Anyway, so they believe that the minute that Samina entered David's home, he ambushed her immediately. And she was really, there was no way for her to fight back, really. She was 5'2". The brothers were like 6'5" and 6'7". David was a soldier, or had been a soldier. I'm working to get my StreamYard back up on the computer because I want to show you guys the pictures or whatever. But anyway, so what they did was they initially smothered her with chloroform, but that's not all. So so when she was autopsied, they found I forgot to mention that they purchased the chloroform off of eBay like a few weeks earlier. That's not I don't know why you would buy things on the internet that you're going to use in a murder, but whatever. So there was also what's been described as, quote, but a bizarre combination of metallic elements. And they believed that they were given to Samina in liquid form. So those elements were antimony, cadmium, tin, mercury, and arsenic. Okay. So she I don't think she died very, very quickly, but it's just sad. So then Roger has to set about getting his alibi together. All right. So David is left to do the cleanup and the disposal. All right. So the way that David starts working on the cleanup is, and they know this because of the cell phone records, right? So it's 6:25. Roger is on his way from David's house in Leicester to Coventry. All right. And it's during that time that Sam, that he sends a text from Samina's phone to his phone. And the text reads, I am fuming. I am going to where I am truly cared for. Okay. And that was his way of setting up the alibi, right? So then now David is left to finish the cleanup. So what David does is he wrapped her body in cling wrap and a sleeping bag, and then he buried her in his they call it an allotment. So I'm not sure what that means. Is that like a backyard? Because I'm from the United States, so I don't know what an allotment is. So somebody that, from across the pond, if you could explain that to me. And the only reason I think that it has to be his backyard is because they reference the shed that was on the allotment, and one of the signs that was in the shed read, "Don't wind me up. I'm running out of places to hide the bodies." So that he buried her. I'm thinking that's what it is, right? Okay. So um, then they take the net. Okay, a parcel of land. Thank you, Max. So then they take um, over the next few days. Then they start working on all the other things, right? Because the body has been disposed of. Oh, like a garden. Okay. All right. So then that would be like on his property. Okay, that makes sense. I couldn't figure that out, and it was just difficult. So I'm glad. Thank you very much. All right. So they go and pick up Samina's car from where she had left it on Christmas Eve, right? And they bring it back to David's home. And they wipe it clean of, fingerprints, DNA, do the full, workup on it, right? And then they abandon it in Luton. Okay. So then what happens is Samina was supposed to be at Boxing Day with her family. She was supposed to celebrate Boxing Day with her family, and she wasn't there. And so her family got worried, and that's when they notified the police. Okay, and the police launched what they referred to as Operation Ceramic. Why they picked that name for the investigation, I don't know. But on January 4th, they located Samina's car. Okay. And when they looked in her vehicle, they noticed that her purse, the stuff that she had purchased from Costco, and her suitcase were missing. All right. And then they also noticed that the driver's seat was pushed way too far back for somebody Samina's size to have driven, which this is very typical. I can't tell you how many cases that I've watched either like on Oxygen or ID or 48 Hours or Dateline where the person who's driving the vehicle is significantly taller than the owner of the vehicle, and they have moved the seat too far back and they don't put it back. So that's one of the things that is common that people miss because they don't think about it. And the other thing that they miss is everybody remembers to like wipe the steering wheel and the gear shift and like your blinker and the door handles, right? But you know what one thing people don't remember to wipe is? The rear view mirror, because people adjust that, right? So that's also how people get tripped up or whatever and caught. So anyway, then there was a tip called in from the public, and obviously it was anonymous. So who knows who called it in? But what ended up happening is the tip, whatever it was that they said, led to them going out and excavating that allotment. And on the fourth day that they had been out there, they found like the corner of the sleeping bag, and that's what led to Samina's body being recovered. And the other things that they found were um, let's see, they found the bottle Bellini in David's refrigerator and snacks in in his cupboard. I can't talk. So on January 7th, the brothers were both arrested under suspicion of murder, and then they were charged January 9th for the murder. So they went to trial, and then on October 21st, 2015, Roger and David were both found guilty of murder and sentenced to 30 years. So hold on, let me see if I can pull these pictures up because I want you guys to be able to see. I'm trying to get back into StreamYard. Give me just 1 second. Oh, okay. Um, but, but Sam, it sounds like he wasn't in a city. It sounds like he was in like a neighborhood. Okay. And so, because he had a shed, maybe I just don't understand how it works over there. Maybe that's what it is. Hold on. I'm trying to get back into StreamYard. Okay, that's better. Can you guys all hear me now? Hopefully you can. Where's Shamita? Oh, let me add her to the stream. So then, Sam, if that's the case, if this was a separate part of land from his house, then there would be a shed there too, because it's his shed. That's what they were talking about, like during the trial and everything, that he had a shed and that it was there. So I'm so confused by this because I'm ignorant when it comes to these types of situations. I don't understand. I'm very confused. Okay. Okay. All right. So, I mean, not that it's like a super huge deal because obviously, but let me see if I can share this right quick. Hopefully, this will not cause any more issues. Let me just add this to the stream right quick. All right. So, here is the Costco, obviously. All right. This is Samina. Hopefully, you guys can still hear me. I don't see the bubble moving. Oh my God. All right. This is David Cooper and this is Roger Cooper. And I just threw Star Wars in there just because. Okay, good. She was so pretty, and I feel awful for her. Under any circumstances, murder is wrong, right? But, you know, it's just a terribly tragic story because she just really thought, as she was leaving work that day on December 24th, that this was going to be, that there was, what is there, 31 days? So 26, 27, 28, 29, 33, 7 days. In 7 days, she was going to be, with the man that she really, really loved. And they were going to start their life together and they were going to be public about it. And she just had so much hope and everything to look forward to. And this guy had been planning for weeks. He had already tried once. And who knows what happened, why that didn't work. Yeah, I'm gonna let me play it again so you guys can see Vader. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, there you go. I'm just gonna leave Vader up for a while. Anyway, like she had so much hope and she was so excited. And then these two, all because he was worried about, like, he couldn't be honest. He couldn't just say, look, she knew that he had a long-term partner, right? All he had to do was tell her, look, I'm not going to leave her. This was never supposed to be more than anything else, right? And every, and let the chips fall where they may. Instead, he was so afraid that she would spill the beans about their relationship that he would lose his job and his girlfriend. And he ended up losing his job and his girlfriend and his freedom. And she lost her life and he drug his brother into it. For what? It was so senseless. It's so sad. Every murder is sad. They just, yes, Max, just like to complicate things, just extra for no reason. I think we talked about this before. So, yeah, that's that story. I told you guys that these aren't going to be like super duper like long ones. Hey, Molson man, are you busy? You want to come up and tell the story that you were going to tell last Wednesday until we got totally sidetracked by a whole different conversation? If you do, hey, Shamita, would you be a lamb and drop the link for anybody? Look, if anybody wants to come up, hopefully it'll work. You guys want to come up. But yeah, so, and 30 years doesn't seem like that long of a time. If it had happened over here in the United States with the premeditation, and especially the first attempt and everything like that, then they would be facing life imprisonment with no possibility of parole. So they never would have gotten out. But I don't know if Molson Man wants to come up and tell his Halloween story from last week's, where whatever happened, or what happened to with Verna Heath and Wanda Holloway and the Texas Pom Pom Mom murder plot. I don't know if you're up for it, Molson Man. Yes, no, maybe so. Let me know, because if not, then I'm just gonna end this, because I'm sort of 4 minutes. Oh, washing dishes real quick. Can you wash mine real quick too? I only have like a couple. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes. Let me copy this link. Did any of you guys do your homework? Just kidding. And watch either the original Death of the Cheerleader or the remake of Death of the Cheerleader, the newer one. I can't even remember when the newer one came out. But anyway, did anybody watch it in preparation for tomorrow night's episode? Because that's the case we're gonna talk about, is that one. I thought that when I started researching for tomorrow night's episode, I realized that. Oh, let me pin this. I can't on my phone. This is stupid. Why is this starred? Oh well. Anyway, I was surprised at like how close the movie was to what actually happened. There's a few things that the movie, didn't get quite right, which always happens, you know what I'm saying? But I was really surprised when I did the research, like how closely the case mirrored the movie. But then there's like a kind of a twist, and I'm excited to tell you guys about that today. Ooh, Max, you want to come up and tell us about that? Not that I should be exciting. That's not what I'm excited about. I'm excited about I always like to hear interesting cases. That's what I'm excited about, not anything. Shmeda, we have talked about this, the random clicking of things. We can't just be pushing. Oh, yeah, Sam, because everything is still looking good on my end. I'm sorry about the storm. It doesn't even do anything. I don't even know what it does. It just stars on that on StreamYard. It doesn't it's not like a big deal. Like it didn't like highlight it or put it up on the screen or anything like that. I just had a star and I was like, well, this doesn't do anything. It's kind of boring. Let me see what happens if I star somebody else. Hold on. I'm going to star Max. What does that do? Does it just show starred for you guys or what? because it doesn't do anything here. It's so weird. It just looks like a star, and it just has a star. Anyway, I'm just trying to kill. Yeah, it shows nothing on YouTube. So then what's the point? StreamYard. Hit me back. What's the star supposed to do? Why is the star there? It's like, in Messenger, whenever they give you the themes, right? And you can choose the theme, obviously. And then all the themes come with that emoji or whatever. And the emoji, you click it and it does nothing. Such a letdown. Just ruins your day. Oh. Oh my God. Shmita, why? See, back here, who knows what she's clicking? You're going to get my stream shut down. No, just kidding. There's nothing back here to do that, I don't think. Oh, okay, Shmita, I'm going to have to block, and you're about to be removed. I forget. I saw a video today. Was it today? Yeah. And there was a Tom Cruise in it. And I swear to you guys, once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can never unsee the tooth that's in the middle of his face. And that's where it's at. It's kind of like Megan Fox. She has those. Yeah, look, you guys. Hold on. Shmita, can you make it bigger? Maybe I can. Hold on. No, I can't. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me give him the full screen. No, I can't do it. Make him bigger, Shmita. What happened? She is Wayne Wilson. Shmita is she is Stephanie Spazzy Lazzy's dorm neighbor. She's got to look through her pictures. It was a million years ago. I can't even. It's so long ago. Let me look through my pictures. Yeah, that's our Shmita. But anyway, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I saw some video with him in it today, and all I could think about is that stupid tooth. I can't. It's just too much. I gave her that nickname. I'm clever with the nicknames like that. So yeah. Anyway. Can you put it back up, Shmita, and make it bigger so that let me remove this. I don't really want to remove Darth Vader, but I'll do it for this. All right. Can y'all see how you got to put it back? Can y'all see how this tooth lines right up with his nose? Hey, Molson Man's here. All right, hold on. Let me add Molson Man.
Get out of here.
I don't really want to remove Darth Vader, but I'll do it for this. Oh, man, I don't want to hear myself twice, Molson
No, give me a second. Can y'all
see how... See? See right there? See? It's right in the middle. Right in the middle of his face. What happened to Molson Man? Oh, my gosh. And now that I've shared this with you guys, it will not matter what movie you watch. It won't matter if it's like Tom Cruise from Legend or Rain Man or Days of Thunder or any of his newer stuff that I refuse to watch. It will never matter. You will see it always. You will never, ever. Wayne, I think they should. They really should. Okay, hold on. Let me add him back. Always. You will never, ever. Wayne, I think they should. They really should. Okay, hold on. Let me add him back. Always. You will never, ever. All you got to do is mute your, close your YouTube tab, Molson Man. That's all you got to do. Who muted you? Shmita, did you mute him?
No, I did it myself.
Okay. All right. There. Now we're better.
We're good. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Yeah, I don't like to hear myself on these lives.
No, I don't blame you.
I don't like my voice and at all, and I don't like to hear it twice.
I know hearing your voice back when it's recorded, it's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And
yeah, I don't like it either.
It's not. You have a great voice. I get.
Well, thank you.
AD used to just give me such a rash of shit for my voice, always making fun of it or whatever. But he's, but he would say I would make him laugh. So I guess that's good.
Well, yeah, you make everybody laugh.
I try. I make myself laugh sometimes too. A lot of times I laugh at myself like a lot.
You can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anybody else, right?
Right. And if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And who wants to cry? Crying just gives you a headache and wrinkles. All right, so I'm super excited because we didn't get to do this last week.
Yeah, we totally skipped it, and it's my fault. But we had fun talking about other things. But okay, so I believe it was 1997. It was Halloween night. So Wanda, they lived in the same neighborhood, or at least neighborhoods that were close by.
Yeah, they were down the street from each other, walking distance for sure.
So Wanda had gone to like Circle K or something like that, and was going through. And again, it's Halloween night, and she hit a trick or treater and knocked the trick or treater up into Verna's yard. So of course, yeah. And then thankfully the trick or treater wasn't hurt, but that of course caused commotion. So the Heaths come outside, Wanda's there, and then it just got awkward. And that's all that I know. I wish I had more to add to it, but obviously they wrapped it up, and Wanda went home and all that. But yeah, that was. I mean, what's the chances of her hitting? Well, the trick or treater anyway, then knocking the trigger literally from the street into their yard. So that is the story with that. And I wish I had, I wish I knew if there was any more to it, but that was it. You never heard that? Did you leave me? You're muted.
All right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, good. So, no, I've never heard that story ever.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
And again, I heard it. It's not to say it's absolute truth, but I had no reason not to, because it wasn't salacious enough to where they had a fist fight and all this other stuff. But yeah, that happened. So I'm going to say that it's likely true. Why not?
I believe it because it sort of makes sense. Verna just does seem like to be one of the, or not Verna, Wanda seemed like she would be one of those people who are singularly focused on something, like laser focused. Yes. And if her mission was to get to and from Circle K, I feel like she wouldn't give a rat's fat kneecap about trick-or-treaters. I'm glad the kid wasn't hurt.
Hell no. And I see her just kind of driving around like Annie Wilkes from Misery, like in that big Suburban. She doesn't give a shit. So she just, going through, has to ride by her rival's house, check it out, and then, forgot about the poor trick-or-treater.
That's probably what happened. She was probably not paying attention to where she was going, but she was mean mugging as she drove.
Right, she's just watching their house. That's
that's what she did, and then she had a kid. Wow, right, I'm not laughing about the kid, guys.
No, but
if anybody listens to this back, because sometimes people decide they don't always get my humor. I like to put that disclaimer out.
Right,
just the situation.
I remember specifically saying the kid was not hurt, shaken up, but not hurt. But I'm like, just what are the chances? You know what I mean? How what, fun. I didn't realize that they still, because that crime occurred in 91, that they still lived in the same neighborhood for the next 6 or whatever years. And I think you said the other day, you think one family's out of Channelview, the other one's still in Channelview. But for a couple of years, they still stayed in the same neighborhood.
Can you even imagine that? Can you imagine? First of all, I can't imagine being Verna and running into her at let's see, that's a Houston. I don't think Houston has HEB.
HEB, right? Big thing down there?
Yeah, well, the HEB, they shut a lot of them down in Texas, but we'll just use that or the Winn-Dixie. I could not imagine. Here I am to just go run and get some groceries right quick, and I run into the girl who wanted to put a hit on me.
Right.
Max.
Publix.
No, Publix isn't in Texas.
Big in Florida. I don't know about Texas.
Yeah, Texas doesn't have Publix. Georgia does. Georgia and Florida do, but Texas doesn't have Publix.
Okay.
Yeah, Publix. Oh my God, I could talk about them forever too. Ask the
Me
girls; they
too. I love
know.
Publix. They're one of the best, in my
They're
opinion.
they're fruit bowls. I'm telling you right now, you guys. If you're ever have an occasion, if you don't live where a Publix is available to you, but you happen to travel to where there is a Publix available to you, their fruit bowls are cut by angels in heaven. I'm telling you. You know how you get like you can go to other grocery stores and you'll get fruit bowls, right? And you'll always have one piece of each type of fruit that just ain't quite right. It's either overripe or underripe. It's just gross and it's bad. Not in Publix.
You got to
In
go
ev-
on.
in Publix, every single piece of fruit is uniformly delicious. It's just delicious.
See, I was impressed with Publix. We were in Fort Lauderdale. It's been several years though, but I drink Canadian kind of beer, which is hard to find anywhere. I mean, my local liquor store stocks it for me, but
Oh,
it's hard
okay.
to find elsewhere. And I was in Fort Lauderdale. We went into a Publix, and lo and behold, there was my beer. I'm like, wow. I'm like, you just yeah. I was super impressed, and of course, I bought it
I'm
all.
not surprised that Publix would carry a bougie beer.
Yeah,
Publix is bougie, but
they are. They are.
their freaking fruit bowls are delicious. Everybody rants about their sandwiches. Now, I've never had any of their subs, but I have had like the sandwiches that they keep in the deli case. And the one that I get is
Their sandwiches. Is that did they
yeah,
make
yeah,
that?
yeah. Oh my God. There's one that is turkey and Swiss cheese. And I don't know what kind of bread it is. I'm sure it's made in heaven as well, where they keep the fruit, but it is just delicious. I like bread. Bread is I like pan. I love
Pon.
bread.
Oh, you sound all posh saying pon. Yes.
Mhm.
No, I do too.
Well,
And I like turkey subs. They're Swiss cheese, no, but yeah, turkey subs.
this isn't a sub, it's a sandwich. It's whatever bread
is
it
it?
is. It's like
Oh, is it?
hard.
Is it like a Cuban? Not a Cuban. What
Mm-mm.
is that called? The thick.
Yeah,
toast?
I think it's brioche. It's super. It's
Yeah,
something.
there you
I
are.
don't know what it is, but it's
No,
delicious pan.
Is it ciabatta?
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Ciabatta. Ciabatta.
Next time,
Max
ciabatta.
says a French baguette. That could be as well.
That's what it is. That's what it is, Max.
Yeah.
It's a French baguette. See how on bougie I am? I'm not fancy at all. I just know it's delicious. It's
Yeah, but you
just
said
delicious.
baguette, right? So you are. You didn't say baguette. So you are bougie.
I'm not bougie. It just means I'm literate.
There you go. Most fancy find you, and you didn't take it.
Everybody talks about these public chicken tenders, and I've never had them. I'm going to have to try them, though. I'm kind of picky about my chicken, though. I don't, but everybody swears. And then the other thing people swear about here too is Wawa. Everybody's like, "Oh, you got to get a sandwich from
Wawa's
Wawa."
big where I live. Wawa's
But
real big.
I don't know. I don't be trusting gas stations. I've had bad experiences. I'm just going to tell the truth.
Yeah, I mean they do have it is a gas station, but they I mean I remember back years ago it used to be a really small place. Now they've really made it like supersized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's you know what I mean? It's like a convenience store with a gas station in it, you know?
Okay.
But I'll be
Okay.
honest
Then
with you,
maybe I can.
I
Maybe I'll
just
check
never
it out.
go, so I can't speak for their food, but I know where I live, there's quite a few of them.
Hi, Allie. Ooh, pastrami sounds delicious. But yeah, the only gas station that I will ever eat at, and they're supposed to be bringing one to Florida, but I don't know where. But it's Buc-ee's, and Buc-ee's is it's.
Where
I
are
don't
they
know.
now? Because I've never heard.
Texas. It's a Texas thing. They're by they're
in Texas.
Yeah, they're in between. They're on your way to go to Austin. Like I think it's just past Waco. I can't remember the exact city that it's in. Okay, but I don't know where Buc-ee's gets their cherry sours. And I love cherry sours. It's the only place I'll ever get them though. Is Buc-ee's. They do something.
Is that like a Slurpee?
No, it's a candy. So it's
Wow.
I don't know. You never had a cherry sour? I don't know. It's like a
Is it a ball, like a red ball?
Yeah, it's a red ball, but it's squishy, sort of like
They don't call them that here where I live. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
What are they called where you live?
Oh, what the hell are they called? Maybe. What did you say they're called where you are?
Cherry sours.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, and that's not what they're called. But I know they're just little. They're not quite the size of marbles. They're smaller.
Yeah, but they're so freaking. They're almost like a lemon head, but not as hard.
Exactly, and I do like them. I can't think of what they're called here though. But
they're freaking delicious.
Yeah,
they're freaking delicious. I don't care what you've done to me. If you have wronged me in some way, and you bring me cherry sours from Buc-ee's,
forgiven.
I will forgive you. Yes, I don't even care. I don't care what it is that you've done to me. I will forgive you for cherry sours.
There you go.
So,
no, they are good. I do like them. It's been a while since I had them, but yeah, I do like those.
Buc-ee's just does something to them. I don't know what it is. And then right next to the Buc-ee's or across the highway is the Kalash store, and I only like to get like the pigs in a blanket because they make like breakfast ones and stuff, but I don't eat egg, so I'll just do the pig. I don't eat eggs at all.
I don't eat hot dogs, so I wouldn't eat a pig in a blanket, but you don't eat eggs. That's funny.
It's not it's a sausage.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like a wiener, right?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it's like it's a beef sausage, sort of like a what is it? Almost like a bratwurst, but not quite. But it's all beef.
Okay. Is it a little smoky? Is that what they're called?
No, it's bigger than that.
Okay.
It's bigger than that. It's like the size of a brat, but it's friggin' delicious, and it's all beef. It's not like regular gross hot dogs that are just filler. It's actual, like it's good. It's really good quality, and that's everybody stops there, and they make the best. Yeah.
Have you always disliked eggs, or did something happen to make you? And there's a reason I'm asking that question. Or have you just never liked them?
I've never liked them. I don't actually know what eggs taste like because I can't get past the friggin' smell.
Okay.
So in my mind, if it doesn't smell good, right, and if the smell makes me gag, there's no way it's going in my mouth. There's no way it could possibly taste good. That makes no sense.
You eat with your eyes first, and then the smell comes at the same time, right? Basically. So if you don't like the way it looks, and you certainly don't like the way it smells, you're not gonna mess with it.
Correct. So I don't actually know what eggs taste like. I just know that I don't like them because I don't like the way they smell. I'll try almost anything, but not an egg.
There you go. Okay. I got sick on a pork chop when I was younger, and my mom made them often. I guess maybe they were inexpensive to have, and I enjoyed them up until the day I got sick on them. To this day, I've never touched one, and that was probably back in '86.
My husband is like that. My mom didn't make pork chops often. But she would, when she did make them, she made them with shake and bake. But she didn't make them that often, so we didn't have them a whole lot. But my husband's mom did make them a lot, like a lot. And I remember when we were first together, and I was like, "Oh, let's make shake and bake pork chops," and he was like, "No." Nope. I ate those like all the time growing up. All right. Now he'll eat them, but when we were very first together, he would not eat them.
My mom made meatloaf all the time, and I'm like, I ate it because that was what was to eat, but I never cared for the texture. And ever since I became an adult, or at least a teenager, and I could make my own choice, I'm like, fuck meatloaf, never again, never have since, never, don't care to even look at it.
Really? I like meatloaf.
No, I can't stand
it. I like meatloaf.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it was done right. I mean, I don't know. I'm not knocking my mom's cooking. She was always a pretty good cook, but I think we just had it so much. It just became so old. And then the idea of putting the ketchup on it, that just grosses me out.
Oh, see, I don't put ketchup on mine.
But people do. People slather that all over.
Yeah. I know. And I don't judge. I mean, it's not going in my mouth. I don't care, but I don't understand it. I feel like if you season it correctly and you use good meat and you use good sausage.
You don't need all that.
You don't need all that. Just a little tomato sauce at the top.
I don't want to watch someone eat meatloaf either that's slathered in ketchup. I don't like watching anybody eat, really. When I eat, I tend to try to eat by myself, especially at work. I don't eat with anybody at work because I just don't like the way people eat.
That's funny that you say that because I avoid buffets for the same reason. Yeah. First of all, it's a waste on me. This is what happens. I go in and I'm hungry because obviously otherwise why the hell would I be at a place to eat, right? So I go in and I'm hungry, but I get so overwhelmed at the amount of choices that I have that I almost instantly lose my appetite. And then I don't have, like, food to me is food, right? And I'm not, just the way I feel. get excited. There's certain things I will get excited for, but generally, on the whole, food is just food for me, right?
Yeah, you need it.
And yeah, but when I see like when it's a crowd of people and they're
We have
continuously
a plate with the shit piled up like this. It's
yes,
like,
and they're forever walking past you, and I'm just like,
yes.
I
Everything's mixed up
can't.
together. Like I'm very methodical. I don't go to buffets often either, but when I do, I'm very methodical. I have a scoop of this, a scoop of that. They don't touch. Everything stays separated. And then I go
Yes.
eat. I know I can go back. I don't have to pile it up.
Right. They give you extra plates. Calm the fuck down.
That's the whole point of a buffet. It's all you can
right.
eat.
You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to eat all you can eat on one plate at one time.
My brother-in-law is like that, no matter what. He probably like Chinese food. If he were to get that, and this happened just recently, that's what's in my mind. He took whatever was in the container, lo mein or whatever, and put it, and it was piled up because his name's Tom. I'm like, Tom, what the fuck, man? You can go back to your kitchen 100 times. But you're not being timed here. You're okay. It's your food.
Right. It's not your last meal. Calm down. Now, I will say this. I got very excited. I think I told you guys this already, but they removed the green apple from the original Skittles flavor, and they brought back the lime. And when I saw that, I was never been so excited in all of my life. I was so upset when I'll never forget it, because this was after the kids had went trick-or-treating. Okay. And I took out one of the bags of Skittles and I ate one of the green ones. And let me just say this, when you are anticipating lime, because that's how it's always been your whole ass life, and you taste that sour apple, it's such a mixture of confusion, disappointment, and disgust. I don't like green apple. I am so upset that they put. I like the lime because I was unprepared. I had no idea that they had changed it, and nobody asked me what I thought about it. Nobody got my opinion on it. I didn't vote for it, and I was unprepared for it. And I remember spitting it out and looking at the bag, and I was like, "Oh my!" Because then there it says, "New flavor, green apple." No, green apple is not a new flavor, and it's not a new flavor to Skittles. But they just threw off the whole flavor bouquet.
Right,
by putting green apple in there. That's when I was upset. Yep. Very, very upset. And I've been like, fuck Skittles ever since.
Right. Yeah, Skittles has never been one that I've cared much for. I'll do. Do you like Runts? You know what Runts?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. I do like Runts.
There's a grocery store nearby, and they have the little, the old time, you put the quarter in, whatever. And I'll go in there with like 4 quarters, just get this whole handful and eat it as I'm going through the store. I don't know why. I'm not really a candy person, but that one. Oh, Caramello, though, that's a good one. Like Caramellos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who doesn't, right?
Hi, Callie. Hi, True Psych Ward. No worries for being late, babe. You got stuff going on. I get it. No biggie. This is these little things that I'm doing on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're just little. They're sort of like what I did for Halloween. Just little quickies. Nothing too. As we move.
I want to tell you what I'm doing tonight, though. And this is for you and my wife. My wife and I, once all this is done, we're watching Death of a Cheerleader, because I didn't see it, and that way I'm prepared for tomorrow night. Yes. She loved it. She did say to me earlier, there's a remake of that.
Yeah, there is.
You were talking. Who did you say was in it? Tori Spelling and somebody else. And now there's a newer one. We're gonna watch the Tori Spelling one. Assuming we can find it. I think it's available.
It's on Prime, because I looked and I remember I put it in my community post. But yeah, it's definitely on Prime. And Kelly Martin, who plays Bernadette in the movie,
is she the victim or is she the perpetrator?
I'm not telling.
Okay. All right.
You'll find out. But she's in the remake too as an officer. She's a cop in the remake.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so I was gonna watch that tomorrow too before I do the show. I was super excited to look up like pop culture from 1984, because I remember that year. Like
Was that the year the crime occurred?
What?
Is that the year the crime occurred? 1984.
Yes. Okay. 1984. Yeah. So I like to throw a little pop culture in there, because it's nostalgic for me. I miss the 80s. Like I grew up in the 80s, and it was a fun time. The 90s was fun. We talked about that
the other night. What a good time everything was then. Max is rolling. See you, Max.
Night, Max.
Shit. What was I about to ask you? Oh, okay. Can I just ask you about Death of Cheerleader? Is this like kind of like the pom pom mom thing, like the two rivals and one just kills the other in a nutshell?
Well, I'll just say that there is a death,
Yeah.
and one of the deaths is a cheerleader. Ha ha.
I'm about to watch it, so why the hell am I even asking?
Right. Like, why would I spoil it for what? I'm not a life ruiner, Molson, man. Come on.
Right. Well, my wife told me, she's like, you've seen this before. I'm like, no, I don't have a clue. She's like, you've seen it before. I'm like, maybe it was the one that I was around, but I have no recollection of it. So
I guarantee you, the minute she starts it and you guys watch it, you're gonna be like, yes, I too. Yeah, I remember it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because there's like a thing, and I want to tell everybody about it, but I have to wait until tomorrow. I'm deciding whether I'm gonna say it or not, because I'm not 100%. I don't know. I'm on the fence. You know how I get.
In regard to that case?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, you know how I am. I try to be careful. Well, it's not like super new, but it's newish. And it was new to me. It might not be new to you guys, but it was new to me. I didn't know. So I'm kind of excited for that, to divulge that. And which, you know how I am. Like, I like to be very careful about what I put out there, because I want to make sure that I can vet it and that it's as accurate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll never be one of those. So that's why I have a hard time covering. It's not that I'm dogging any other creator that covers the current case. Covering current cases is extremely
it's in real time,
difficult.
and changing, like Gabby Petito.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone was covering that case, and it's like, well, first of all, to me, there was really no new information, and there was way too much speculation. You know what I mean? We had Brian Laundrie was in Moscow, for Christ's sakes, according to somebody.
According to this person, he ended up being exactly where I said he was. You
always thought he was at the reserve, and
I did, and that he'd harmed himself. I sure did, always.
Yeah, I guess I didn't care enough. I just wanted it over with. You know what I mean? It's just one of those cases. It was a big thing at the time. Well, it was only a couple months ago, but I'm like, I never. Well, after Watts, I'm like, I needed to just take a break from a deep dive.
Right? Yeah. And the thing is that I don't envy a creator who is covering her current case's position, because it is a difficult position to be in. It's difficult to because everything is happening right then. So it's very difficult to discern rumor from truth.
That's the word, right?
Exactly. And part of the problem is when the FBI gets involved. See, if they were just the local cops, we would have known not all the things, but we would have known more. They're more free with their information than the FBI is.
They did kind of like leave everybody hanging, that's their job, to do their investigation, and they don't give a shit about us, nor should they.
No, and I agree.
Multiple YouTube channels, and even the news for that matter, any social media, like talking about this case, and it's just all speculation, and then it's like, whatever. You know what I mean? I think it's tomorrow at 9, right, Jen?
Yes, tomorrow night. I was just going to answer that. Yeah, it's tomorrow night at 9 Eastern. So I wanted to do it a little bit later because I don't know why. I figured that Wednesday is such an in-between. It's a hump day, and maybe people would be up for staying a little bit later. But if 9 o'clock, we'll try it out for next week and see how it goes. And if you guys don't like 9 Eastern and you think I should move it an hour, I know why I did it at 9 Eastern. It's for Dr. B. But if you guys think I should do it earlier, then whatever. I mean, I already know the case. It's for you guys to hear, so I'd rather hear your opinions on what time is good for everybody.
9's a safe bet though, because us East Coasters, and because I'm an East Coaster, 9, you're already home. You've already did the dinner. You've already did your shower. You've already did. You're now 9 is the relaxed time. Like 9 to 11 is just chill time, right?
Yeah. That's how.
8 o'clock, there's still some shit going on. I was doing dishes. Well, not quite at 8, but you know what I'm saying. You're still wrapping your day up in a way.
Mm-hmm. By 9, you're like, you've been home for a minute. You've had a chance to eat. Everything's
open. You're drinking your wine. You're doing your
correct.
Thing. Right.
Now it's time to chill out and see what's on the YouTubes, and that's where you'll find me on the YouTubes. I'm going to be live. This is going to be a different. this whole month is going to be interesting for me because you guys know I used to never hardly ever go live, right? We would do the roasts and those were sporadic at best. By the way, Courtney Love, that's the word I was trying to think of. And I think that's the word you were searching for when you were describing your erratic stripping. I think what you meant to say was sporadically stripping. Okay. Courtney, just in case you're listening, hey, still think you're horrible. But anyway, that's not the point. Anyway, so I'm going to be live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from now until the end of the month. And I've never done that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's ambitious.
Y'all are about to get a whole lot of Jen Lou. Good luck.
Nothing wrong with that. Samantha, it said earlier, Summer Wells. That's another one that it's all over the place. It changes all the time.
That one is okay. So I've been following that case from the beginning, but I've been like
15th,
I'll pop into some chats here and there and say, some really off the wall smart ass remark or something.
Everybody will piss off.
Yeah, because I
kick the hornet's nest.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like I don't say anything that's offensive to anybody, but mostly just like I've made like I'll say sometimes whenever Dawn Wells has been on or they're showing something about Dawn Wells and I'll be like, oh, it's time for religifying with Dawn Wells, stuff like that, because that's what he does. Those are the comments I make.
I was only kidding by that, but yeah, I mean, people are certainly passionate about that.
They are, and they should be. But I think that this is just one of those cases that's so. It's not all that uncommon because let's be honest, children unfortunately get taken every single day in the United States. I mean, this happens a lot more than we think.
Yeah, no, it does.
It's the way that this case has shaken out, and it's not so much about the events surrounding the case itself, the actual case, but more about the things that have taken place again online, which I always find interesting. And I have seen other family members in other cases, not just the Watts, but other cases that have reached out to social media. Okay. And that's, I get it.
Becoming a common theme, right? All these families like getting like the Watts and the Ruseks, like YouTube, you probably shouldn't be on there. Same with the Wells, Don and Candace. Maybe stay off of that stuff because it's not doing you any favors, and it's certainly it's
right. And then it just became such. I don't even know how else to put it. Other people have been very kind, and it's not that I'm not a kind person. I'm just a very honest person.
Yeah, you're just telling it for what it is, right?
It's not a circus. It's a shit show, is what it is, and it's not even about poor Summer anymore. It's about everything. And I agree with you, Sugar Beet. I don't really care. Well, it's not that I don't care. Open cases aren't my thing because you're so limited on the amount of information that you can get.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be because we don't want to compromise cases. And that's why I stay away from them because I would hate to think that anything that I did inadvertently
jeopardize.
It would only ever be inadvertently would ever jeopardize a case like that. So I just.
With Summer Wells, I'm a moderator on another channel. I won't mention it, but we really, well, not me personally, but they broke this thing down. And the picture of her when she's in the back of the car, the day she went missing, she's laying on the milk and all that. We spent, I say we just because I was there, like 2 hours just breaking that all down. Like, why is she on the milk? Do you notice this? Do you see this? And I'm like, finally, I was like, you know what? I got to get the hell out of here because we're, I guess, doing good things, but we're beating a dead horse in terms of like we don't know anything, and we're just speculating. It gets to the point where there's just too much speculation. You just got to walk away, right?
Exactly, and I want her to be found, and I would love for so much for this to have a happy ending. And
what's your gut telling you though? Do you have a opinion on this? I mean, it's been nearly 6 months to the day that's not looking good, right?
Well, it's not looking good. And okay. I can't, obviously, because I wasn't there, right? And
Right.
I can't completely 100% rule out a stranger. But let's be honest here, okay? The fact of the matter, or as Andy would say, the fact of the fatter
Fatter.
is, in order for a stranger to get into that bootleg Harry Potter
Did you
under the
Google Earth?
cupboard.
Did you Google Earth Ben Hill Road? A stranger's not finding that place.
Well,
Not.
it's not even the house itself.
Okay.
It's inside of the house. I mean, look,
Oh,
to get
yeah,
down
the
to
house.
that basement, it's a bootleg Harry Potter living under the cabinet under the stairs situation.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you're right.
you know, to me, it just doesn't feel it's possible, but is it likely? And for me, I'm thinking, no, it's not that likely. But I'm not here to that's the other thing, is if you have to be careful what you say, because I don't want to point fingers. And I always, in the back of my mind, I keep the West Memphis Three and what happened with them, right?
Yeah.
In the whole situation, right? The totality of it and how the investigation went, which is why I kind of stay away from open cases, because I think the people in the town of West Memphis had good intentions when they came in and they talked to police. They were telling them rumors and stuff that they'd heard, right? And I think they had good intentions when they were doing that. However, I think that the cops, because they heard some of the same rumors so many times, and they started to believe that they were less rumor and more truth. And I think that it kind of confused things.
And we're all human, so you can only say things so many times before you're like, you know what, they must have a point there, because you're hearing, 9 out of 10 doctors can't be wrong, can they?
Right. And when you hear something so many times, right, people tend to think, well,
your mind conditioned to what you're hearing, and it might be wrong. Yeah, exactly.
And it's difficult in a town like that, where West Memphis is not like a teeny tiny town, but it's not that big. And most people sort of.
I assume West Memphis was in Tennessee. It wasn't until you did your coverage and I realized from you that it was in Arkansas. I'm like, I just assumed it was, so that's even a smaller, when you hear Memphis, Tennessee is a rather large, whatever.
It's not that far from Memphis.
Tennessee. So.
Yeah, it's not that far. That's why it's called that, because it's not that far from Memphis. But it's not a big town. But it's not like a one stoplight. Yeah, but it's not a one stoplight town either. So I feel like the cops, when they were hearing things, I feel like they were hearing some things frequently, and so they started to think, well, there must be something to it. Which I can't honestly, they're human, right? And it is human nature that if you're hearing the same types of something, right, to start to wonder, well, how are these people who don't seem to be related in any type of way and probably don't know each other, but they're all telling the same thing, except for the teenagers, because all of the teenagers were somewhat connected. And the other thing, well, I'll get off on a whole tangent. I don't want to get off on a tangent on West Memphis, but because that's not what we're here for tonight. But I'm just saying, that's why it's difficult, and that's why I try to stay away from cases like that. I'm much more interested in. I like to go through the investigation from the very beginning, right, from the first call all the way through to the trial. That's what I like to do. That's what I like to discuss.
Not fun. Fun's the wrong word. It's interesting to form your own opinion, because you know what I mean. Especially when it turns out you're completely wrong. You know what I mean? Whatever you thought was, what was the case with the husband they thought killed the wife, and it turned out he was, God, I can't think of, because it was her friend that ended up cutting the child.
Oh, yes. And it just happened. Yes. It was just recently, and I can't, isn't it Heidi Bouchard or something like that?
Who it is? Yes, that's who it is. And everybody, because he did an interview, and they compared it to the Chris Watts thing, the Duper's Delight, all this, even though he was crying, but they're like, oh, that's not real, he's not, and whatever. And it turns out it was her friend that did it. And because we all jump on the thing, everyone, the first one to suspect is the immediate family, right?
Well, right.
I mean,
she's a low risk victim, you know what I mean? So and then I'm interested, there's a case local here to me, Kathleen Moore, I believe her name is.
Okay.
And I've been kind of keeping an eye on that. And
is that something just like real recent?
Yeah, it's very recent. Okay. Her body was just found.
Gotcha.
And so
Are they
Yeah, and
like, is I don't know.
they're suspecting it's the boyfriend because
Boyfriend.
the last I heard, and I'm a little behind because I've been doing other stuff today,
Mhm.
but I think that they had gone to his house and had seen a blood stain, a large blood stain, and so they started
Mm,
suspecting, and
right.
then she was found not too far from his house or his apartment, his residence, I
Okay.
should say. So yeah, and Allie, you're 100% correct. I don't understand that staircase either, and there's no way I would go down that
I
stairs.
think they installed an actual staircase in that house now. I think I just saw something the other day where like someone went in there and like it's not that like Halloween move the island and walk down that tunnel thing.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
that's yeah.
You know, and installed a proper like staircase because that was a creepy ass house.
Well, right. Like, who thinks? What are the odds of a stranger? Okay, first of all, there's timing, and let's just be honest about the situation. And I'm not judging; it's just the way that it is. That house was a hoarder house. There were
Absolutely.
things everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, so you have to negotiate the piles, right? And then on top of it, then you have to negotiate. It's basically a hidden staircase. Who in their
How
right
would you know?
mind
How would you
would
know?
think that, oh, underneath the counter here or the
Right.
kitchen island or whatever the hell that was,
It's
there's
like,
a
you know,
staircase.
Frank's up there. Like, how the hell did you know she's up there? There's a you know, a shelf like covering a staircase. Same thing here.
Yeah,
How would you know?
exactly. You wouldn't know. Like a
She
stranger
was
wouldn't know.
downstairs, wasn't she? Well, that was the story. She was
That
downstairs.
was the story that she went down. Oh, whoa, I almost dropped my phone. That she went downstairs to play. So, like, I
Yeah.
I just want, you know, I wish that there would be that this would be resolved and it would be a happy ending. But it's probably not going to be, and it makes me sad.
I'm surprised it's not
And
resolved, though, to be honest with you. I'm really surprised.
I am surprised it's gone this
Almost
long,
6
but
months. Yep.
yeah. But you know, the cases that I'm most interested in are, and I like to discuss, are investigations, you know, or cases where they're solved
There's
because
a
you
resolution
ask,
to it. We can just pick it
yeah,
apart. Yeah.
yeah, and
Never
there's
mind.
you have all the information, and it's good. I have learned so much about human behavior from true crime, more than I ever wanted to know, and
It's the
I have
best
to
way to look
say,
at it, right?
yeah, and I have to say, people frankly fascinate me. I don't understand. I get along much better with animals because animals do things and they do it for a reason. There's always a purpose for what they're doing, right? And it's clear purpose.
Right.
But human beings mystify me because even at myself, there are some times when I'll do something, I'm like, why the fuck did I just do that? And I look at human beings and I'm like, why the fuck did they just do that? Like humans don't make sense to me. So
No.
I'm fascinated. And I'm fascinated mostly with this. Okay, every single human being, right, for the most part.
Granny.
Hey, Granny's watching. Wow, I didn't even know you knew who I was on my channel. Welcome. I'm always,
This.
I don't know about so yeah. Anyway, I'm always like fascinated by why people do the things that they do, because humans physically we're all capable of taking another life. We're physically capable of doing it, right?
But yeah, you're pushed enough. Yeah, you can do anything.
Right. But my curiosity is the majority of human beings, that's a line that they will not cross, right? But I'm always fascinated by the human beings who do cross it and think that not only do they cross it, right, but they think they're going to get away with it. They think that they won't ever get caught. And along the way, they make 11 billion mistakes.
The case you were talking earlier tonight, you know, with the Star Wars codes, like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're going to get away with that. Because no one's thought to code anything before. If I'm going to kill someone, of course I'm going to code it.
Well, right, but why would they use...
decipher what the fuck I'm saying, even though clearly anyone with the basic mind figure out what the fuck I'm doing, right?
Why would you use the Death Star? Why wouldn't you take a random line from the movie that is completely innocuous? Like, they'll be back.
Not Star Wars of all.
Well, even if you were going to use Star Wars, how about just some innocuous line? They'll be back and in greater numbers. Like, you know, the Sand People, or Luke, come and have some blue milk, which isn't really the line from Star Wars. It's from Family Guy Star Wars, but it makes me laugh every time she says that because that's what it is. Or something from Aunt Beru. Something really random that only another Star Wars fan would get. You know what I'm saying?
And
So,
there's everything we do that we're even doing right now. There's a digital footprint. So the last thing to do, if I'm committing a murder, I'm not texting anybody. I'm not taking my phone with me. I'm not.
right.
I'm not. I don't know what. I mean, we have all the camera lights, doorbell cameras. I mean, really, it's impossible nowadays. But I'm certainly not taking the shit that's going to get me busted right from Jump Street. You know, and I'm at least going to try to be somewhat smart about it.
Right,
not that I'm considering committing a crime. That's not what I'm saying here.
No, I know what you're saying, but that's what fascinates me. Like these women who kill their husbands, right? And they kill their husbands because their husband has like a $50,000 or $100,000 life insurance policy.
Yeah, it's all about money usually.
Listen, ma'am. Have you done the math? Your husband is 45 years old, right? Chances are he's in decent health and whatnot, and barring any catastrophe, he really has 20 more years before he's retiring, right? So you're taking an immediate 100,000 when he could be making in the next 20 years he would be making two, 3, 4, 5 times that amount.
Yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Right. Do the math. It doesn't matter. He is worth more alive than he is dead.
That is
just
true.
For earning potential alone. Let's not. I mean, obviously, there's the moral. Obviously, we don't go around killing people, right? That there's a moral thing there. But I mean, when I hear that they do it for money, and it's there's really no amount of money that would be worth it. But these are really not, like, extra not worth it. It just never has made sense to me why people do stuff like that. And I always want to know. And I always think that when I hear their why, it never does. But I always think maybe this will be the one that I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It never makes sense because it's not supposed to, but still.
I'm sure you're familiar with the Pamela Smart case. I mean, who the hell isn't?
Yes.
But so she kills her husband. They're early 20s, I believe. So I know the story. I'm making a point here. The boys that are her students, what were they getting, like $200 each? I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
And
$200.
$200 and I think some jewelry or something. No,
I think it was like costume bullshit jewelry too. They were even bitching like this isn't worth shit.
Right.
$200. I think there was 3 or 4 of them involved, like $200 a piece. Like, really, that's worth this? And did she think she'd get away with this? Because she's like, I think he was an insurance salesman, so he definitely had life insurance. I don't remember what the policy was, but they were cool with him them just getting 200. Like, yeah, I'll take a life for 200.
Right. Let me add Shamita back to the stream.
Is she gonna say anything?
She won't talk. She just highlights the comments for me and pays attention.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
So Ali 79, get this as the codes that they used. Death Star complete, stay on target, Vader, or you are expected, Vader. That's what they wrote to each other. Okay, first of all, obviously the Death Star Hiller, Vader, like nothing good. Anybody that would be reading that, no good is going to come out of that code. Like, why couldn't they? I'm saying, why couldn't they use something innocuous out of it? Like when they're at the bar or whatever, and who dis? And that guy walks up to Luke and says, "I don't like you." Or my friend doesn't like you. And Luke says, "I'm sorry." And he says, "I don't like you much either," or either, whatever. Yeah, like that. Something just innocuous that means nothing, that nobody would ever know. You know what I mean?
Right. Or just don't send text messages when you're committing a crime.
Well, correct. Well, see, he was waiting in the parking garage, right? Because I think that the deal was they were going to do it together. They were both going to participate, right? And that was David was going to abduct her, and then Roger was intended to meet him. So they were going to get together, but obviously, and to this day, the police, they don't know why that didn't happen. And they did send another text but it was in French, and it was like, broken French, though, not like they spoke French.
Yeah.
And it was something to the effect of, hold on, I wrote it down. Let me look. I always write this stuff down because if I write it down, I'll remember it.
There you go.
It translated to, there's no point, no score, the window is closed, is what they wrote in French, or what David sent to Roger in French. So,
Okay.
right, Allie, something Yoda said, because like, or they could have said something like, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, something. Yoda had a lot of good ones, but like 109 years old you are,
that would have been deciphered very easily. Anything Yoda would have been deciphered really easily too.
Yeah, but if it's innocuous, that has nothing to do with the Death Star and Vader. Like Vader was like Vader was a bad guy, and you can't quote the stormtroopers because they know, oh, these are not the droids you're looking for. Like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even hardly talk. So, and nobody could understand what the Ewoks were saying. So, like, something like that. Just something, don't quote Jabba. Probably don't quote Boba Fett because he was a bounty hunter. It's just
they should let Star Wars be. I think that was their first mistake.
Right. Or obviously you can't quote R2-D2 because he was the baddest motherfucker in the whole galaxy. Every word he said was bleeped out, right? Like, he was, poor guy. C-3PO was just worried.
Shakespeare, that would have been a little bit more like, because no one understands Shakespeare, at least I don't. I would have never.
Well, not if they had picked Macbeth, because that's how Macbeth was poisoned. So, or maybe just don't kill somebody. How about you just be honest?
Don't break up with her. Tell her you're done.
And be like, look, you were never gonna transition from the side chick to the main chick. Just be honest.
You know, I don't have a pass for you. You're done here.
Right, exactly. Instead of, she was so beautiful. And to just take her life like that, for literally because you're scared you're going to lose your management position at Costco.
Well, Costco is the shit, though, isn't it?
Not that much.
No. I'm kidding. But no,
not enough for me. I like Sam's better.
Yeah,
Sam's better.
I actually have a Sam's closer. No, I have a BJ's, not Sam's. BJ's up the street. Costco I had to work to get to, but I will go out of my way to Costco just because I like it.
Sam's is, well, when I was a kid, my mom had a Sam's Club membership because she got a discount through the hospital that she worked at. But back in the day, Sam's used to be the place to go on Saturday because of all the samples. Like, you could get a full.
Well, Costco does the same thing.
8-course meal. I've only been in Costco a couple of times, and the times I went, they didn't have any samples.
Well, and you know what? Costco does piss me off because when I do go in there, it's always like they have samples of like bread and rice and things like that. I'm like, you guys got this crazy ass shit. Like, it's this chocolate caramel, whatever. You won't let us sample that, but I had rice before.
Right. Like, I know what the fuck rice and bread tastes like. Let me have some of that shit you keep back there in the reserve.
Right. Exactly. Your salted caramel cheesecake. No one can touch that shit unless you buy it. But let me have a spoonful of rice. Thank you, Costco.
Yeah, exactly. And Allie's right. Yes, they should have used that.
Yes,
that's one of my favorites.
That's a good one. Yeah, I gotta watch that soon. Just since we were, being as we're in December and all that, I haven't seen anything Christmas.
If you go on ABC Family, they show them all. They show 31 Days of Christmas, so they'll show everything.
There's only out like the day after Thanksgiving. I'm like, it's a little too early for and Rudolph, but
yeah, I'm not ready. I haven't watched those in a long time. Elf is one of my favorites. A Christmas Story is my favorite, and I do watch the 24 hours.
You watch a Christmas? Do watch? Yeah, we keep it on too. We just let it roll out.
Me too. My husband's so
or football.
He's
assuming there's games on, which is this year. There is Christmas Day games, but yeah.
Oh yeah. My husband gets annoyed. Jen, are we gonna do this every year? I tell him every friggin' year. You asked me that last year. What did we do last year? What was the answer last year? The answer
It's
was yes.
tradition. It's
going to, yeah, and I don't make anybody else watch it. I just watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll watch it one time with me, and then I'll keep it on the rest of the time in my room.
I bet you're
like,
not sitting there actually watching it. It's just on, right? And you're doing
right,
you're
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And I like Elf. What's the other one? I like Christmas Vacation. I remember
Elf with Will Ferrell. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went and saw Christmas Vacation with my parents. I'll never forget that because it's such, when I think about it now, like as an adult, and I wasn't that young of a kid.
I didn't appreciate it in the beginning. I've learned to love it as I've gotten older.
The one that I appreciate, the line I appreciated the most was when he was at the lingerie counter and she's leaned over and he's like, it's a titty bit nipply outside. And I got it. You know, my sister was like, what does he talk? And I was like, no, don't. I wasn't going to explain it to her. She always wanted to do that too. My sister still does that. Asks me a question about the movie in the middle of the friggin' movie. And I'm like,
yeah, like write that shit down. We'll talk about
Jules, I'm watching the same fucking thing you are. How the fuck am I supposed to know what's about to happen? Together. I haven't seen this shit either.
Right.
I mean, that's what that.
We're learning as we go.
We're all learning here. Just hush. Now we've missed whatever the fuck it is we were supposed to be paying attention to for your questions.
Right. See, I like European Vacation back then, and everyone's like, "Oh, that was horrible. That was horrible." But and then Christmas came out, and I didn't care for Vegas, and I didn't see the remake with Applegate and what's his name.
Yeah.
I did. Christmas has grown on me over the years with Christmas Vacation.
I like Christmas Vacation. I like the original one, and I like European Vacation, but that's it. I didn't like any of the follow-ups or the remake either.
Yeah, they tried too hard.
Definitely tried too hard. Chevy Chase just has that goofy ass comedic timing, you know, and he is a Clark Griswold, so it makes sense, and you can't really duplicate that. You know, it's just one of those it's not one of those that you can. No, Allie, I cannot. I can't imagine. What if you were a juror? Can you imagine me as a juror and people are using lines from movies, right? And code to talk about what they're about to do? I would probably lose. I would be removed immediately because I'd be like, you didn't get that right. That's not what movie that's from. That's not what he said. Or I just laugh. I'm the worst.
Yeah. Have you ever been a juror?
No, never. I've never been called. I signed up for it because I want to be called, but they don't. I've never been picked. I've never been called either. I've never been like.
So I was, and it was one of those moments you just told. That's why I'm bringing it up. So it was a guy that robbed somebody basically, and when he found out the cops were coming, he literally shit himself. So,
oh God!
The attorney,
I wouldn't be able to make it through that one.
Okay, so the attorney's like, "Sir, tell the court what happened to you when you that he's not answering whatever the hell," and he's like, "You shit yourself." I'm just standing up. You know, we have a notepad, and I'm just like looking around, and I'm literally my arms are up like that, and it wasn't just that one. He kept saying it. It was relentless, but like, "You shit yourself."
I wouldn't be able to make it. I really wouldn't be.
Oh my God, it was so hard. And it's not like I wasn't, you know, obviously I didn't know anybody that was around me. I'm like sitting there and I'm wiping the tears.
Yeah, you can't, like, I wouldn't make it through. I would have to be excused. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't make it. But one of my friends. I would never.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I would laugh. And I know you're not supposed to, so I don't know if I could make it through that. I would have to be asking the lawyers questions, like, is there going to be fucked up in this? Because I'm telling you right now, I can't. If there's anything that at all is that would amuse or make a 12-year-old boy giggle, I'm not your girl because I will giggle.
Read the transcripts here before we go any farther.
Yeah, let me see what's going on before I decide. Now, one of my friends was telling me that there's been talk about allowing jurors to ask questions, and she was asking me what I think about that.
Like Big Brother and Survivor.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I was thinking about it, right? And on the surface, or initially, you might think, "Hey, yeah, that's a great idea." But then I started really thinking about it, like, you know how I can be.
When it's your turn.
And I was thinking to myself that the thing is that jurors are not typically attorneys, right? I mean, they can put an attorney on there, but typically the most. So, but what if a question that the juror asked, because then they have the stuff that they talk about outside of the presence of the jury, right? But the camera's still going, like we saw that with Kyle Rittenhouse, where it was in camera, where the cameras were going, but the jury was out, right?
Right.
And so they would have no idea that certain evidence they had decided that they were never going to admit it, right? But then a juror asks about it, or asks something in regards to that. Like, what if a juror had asked Kyle Rittenhouse, why did you wear that shirt that said "free as fuck"? Because it was clear that that was the judge decided that was not going to be admitted. But what if they had asked, and then they completely screwed up? You know what I'm saying?
They do in Arizona and Florida, or she thinks Florida.
I feel like that would be a. Have you been? Well, come on, you know how we roll in Florida. They shouldn't be letting anybody here ask no questions. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, but I just feel like, well, what if they asked something that caused a mistrial or violated somebody's rights or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
I bet that's why in most states they don't probably allow it, because that would be grounds for you're opening up for a lot of tainting of right.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea. You know, there's a reason why why jury members don't speak and why they simply observe, you know, because especially with high profile cases, because it is possible. I am one of these people. I have seen lots of cases that hit the news, right? And I can be one of the people that can hear all of things and yet understand that I'm only supposed to consider what's presented in court, right? And I can separate myself from the things that I heard on the media or in the streets or whatever and do my job as a juror. But
do you really think you could, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I believe in our process. So I know that I could. So, but then I think about it, and for example, I'll give you another one, not even Rittenhouse, the West Memphis 3 case, which there's other examples, but this is one I can think of off the top of my head. So because Jesse Misskelley never testified against Damien and Jason, his confession couldn't be used against him, right? Or couldn't be presented in their trial, okay? Yeah. They could never use Jesse's confession. However, but everybody that sat on that jury had pretty much read the confession because it was printed in the paper. Right. In the commercial appeal, even though they did a change of venue. They didn't change the venue to a whole different.
Didn't go that far.
Right. And what's even more interesting, so what if a jury member had asked about that?
Right.
Which they did.
Yeah, Mo says the judge and lawyers approve the questions first, which would make sense, right?
Yeah, but I don't like it. I just don't think it's a good idea.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a good idea either.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Unless I was a juror and I'd want to ask a question, then of course I'd think it's a great idea. You know?
Right. I just don't think it's a good idea. Oh, speaking of the Daybell Vallow situation, did you know that trial's not going to be until 2023?
Why?
Her trial.
Why?
I don't know.
She's in Idaho, right?
Yes.
They can't be that jam-packed with a backlog to get her another year. I wouldn't imagine. I feel like Idaho, minus the Michael Vaughn thing, I feel that it's pretty safe there.
I don't think it's because they're backlogged. I feel like it has something to do with her competency situation.
Legal maneuvering.
Where is True Psych Ward? I wish that she was in here because she's the one that told me about it, and now I can't remember. I don't even think that there was anything. She just sent me a screenshot of when it was scheduled. Yeah, January of 2023.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Allie's got it. Allie 79. I think I think that's what it is. It's the competent. And
it takes that long to determine competency, though.
She has, I guess, several whacks at it. I'm not exactly sure. See, I don't know how Idaho does it, so I'm not going to say anything until I look into how Idaho does it, because I only know how some other states do it, and so I'm going to have to I'm still doing research because I wanted to cover the trial, remember? And so I'm still looking into the case. I'm not quite.
Sounds like you got time.
Oh yeah, at least I've
Yeah.
got. At least I'm not pressed for time. It's not like I
Right,
have
right. Now,
a
what about
deadline.
Chad? What about when's his trial? Do we know anything on him?
They're supposed to be tried together, but I think they're going to try to get the trials severed. But that's one of those things I'm going to have to really like do more research into, because at first I started with just the case itself, right? Because obviously, but then I had planned to move from doing the research on the case into moving into researching what Idaho law is as best as I can. I'm not an attorney, but I can read and I can, understand. And I'm curious to see what's the likelihood that it would be granted if there's a motion to sever the trials, because I can see the argument for it both ways, right? So, but I'm curious what
about so we have a right to a fair and speedy trial. I wonder if that could be used against, I mean, if she's going another year, you're talking 13 months from now, couldn't that be like her right to a fair and speedy trial was violated because it took so damn, right?
Usually, a lot of times what ends up happening is if they've scheduled it right for 2023, that means that they've agreed on that date, which means that she has likely waived her right to a speedy trial, which a lot of defendants end up, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It depends on how complicated the case is, right? So if you're the defendant and the case is exceedingly complicated and the prosecution is going to need time to get a bunch of witnesses together, yada yada yada, right? You'd want to not waive it. You want to make the prosecutor's office work overtime to try to convict you, right? But in this case, I just am not ready to make a complete. I'm not all the way done with the research, so I'm not ready to make a judgment on whether it would be advantageous or not advantageous for her. So
Idaho has the death penalty, it sounds like. That's interesting.
So, and I'm always interested in death penalty cases because, and mainly because in our system here in the United States, the defense is usually so underpaid. They don't have the resources or the money to really provide.
The appointed.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Public defender.
Yes, the public defender's office. Like they're understaffed, they're underpaid, and they're overwhelmed because he's the it's just interesting to me, and I always find the wrangling and the arguments back and forth that part to me is the most fascinating. I always like I was fascinated by Dr. Lee's testimony in the O.J. Simpson trial because I found I just was riveted by it, the way that they're able to look at something and by the way that the blood spatter was or what dripped where and kind of figure out in the order in which things happen, and that part of it fascinated me.
So, I think it was too that particular case, I think it was way too overwhelming for that jury because that was all new at the time, the DNA, all that stuff. I mean, I know I watched it. I mean, not religiously, but I did watch a lot of it. They lost me. Granted, I was a lot younger then, but they lost me like really early on with all that scientific stuff, which was at that time very cutting edge.
Well, that's what fascinated me was the scientific stuff because I thought I just found it so interesting that they were able that your DNA is unique to you and you alone.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I find fascinating about DNA is that it actually isn't an inclusive result. It's an exclusive result. So what ends up happening is they exclude 99.99999% of the population. They don't actually include yo ass or whoever it is, right? But they exclude. And I always found that fascinating. And it's one of those things that I don't think a lot of people are aware of because most people think of DNA sort of in like the Maury Povich. The DNA says you're not the father, but that's not really how the DNA test, that's not how results are actually read. That's not what they actually read. So yeah, so I always just found like that kind of stuff to me is just fascinating. And it's always fascinating how, and this is a people thing, how two people can look at the same thing and
see
see
two different
something
outcomes.
completely different.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that part to me is fascinating. And it's always fascinating to me by who the jury believes and why. That's why I'm always interested in the interviews of the jury members. That's who, after the fact, because I always wanted to know, like, what was it that made you decide? Do you know what I'm saying? What was it?
I would love to have the Casey Anthony jurors. I would love to have seen interviews with them. I think only one did an interview. The rest of them stayed pretty quiet. But I'm like how and why, and like your process for determining what you determine. I'll be honest with you. I watched that trial, and I would have voted not guilty too, even though I think I know better. But based upon what the evidence,
right, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because you as human beings, we're inundated all the time, and even more so now, right? With you can find out anything that's going on pretty much with a click, and about anybody and anywhere at any given time. But you're only, as a juror, you're only allowed to base your opinion on what is presented in court.
Right.
Which it's similar to the Casey Anthony trial, right? I understood why the jury came to the conclusion that they came to, which because it was solely based on the evidence, and I feel like
okay. So a lot of people will. I've had debates with people like, oh no, I'm like, I'm talking if I were a juror, not what I
not
I
me as
a lot more than they were.
Right, exactly, and that's the thing. See, what one of the key, and even the prosecutor admits this now. He feels now, looking back, that if he would have allowed for a lesser charge, for the jury to consider a lesser charge, that then she would have been found guilty. But it was they were only allowed to consider premeditated murder, right? They weren't allowed to consider anything else as a lesser charge. So, and I think that the things that they did find her guilty of, right, were indicative of the fact that they think that she did it, but they don't. But that the prosecution couldn't present enough evidence to substantiate first degree murder, right? And I think if he would have,
I'm sorry. I was reading something. As a everyday citizen, do you think she's guilty?
Yes.
Me too.
Absolutely.
As a juror, though, would you?
Exactly.
Okay.
As a juror, I understood why the juror. If I were a juror,
I did too.
I understood why the jury reached the conclusion they did. But as me, Jen Lou, I do absolutely think
she did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I agree that's an interesting one. But like people, that's a passionate one that people can't. You're either in or out, or
Exactly.
And I remember, was it where in Florida was that jury from? Pinellas? No, is that
no, Citrus County.
Okay.
The Orlando area.
Well, no, but they came from the Tampa area, right? Didn't they bust them over to Orlando for the
Maybe they did.
Pinellas County, I think.
Remember? Pinellas County. Pinellas County.
Zephyr Hills, Clearwater-ish kind of.
Yeah, that would be Pinellas. Tampa is Hillsborough County. So yeah, then you're right.
But they put signs up. I remember when it was all over, like jurors, Casey and are no longer welcome in this restaurant in the towns in which they lived and whatever. And I mean, people got very passionate and like triggered by it. Like Allie said, she doesn't like. She's not a Casey Anthony fan.
Well, I mean, I don't know where I think she's way further south than I am in Florida, but there's times when I've been like, I wonder if I would just like run into this.
That would be a good roast for you guys to do.
Or can you imagine? You guys know that I would be on the news.
I would
be asking the questions. I can't. Here's the thing. Okay, a lot of people have asked us and suggested that we roast Casey Anthony. Here's my problem and why I won't do it. It is because the crime of which she was accused is, in my opinion, so friggin' heinous.
Right.
It's not just a child; it was her child.
Right.
And to me, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, you got to
know what I'm saying?
Right. Because again, there's passion there with the particular crime. You can't. I mean, a roast is fun and whatever, but yeah, I mean, when people look at Casey Anthony, they despise her, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because that case just evokes such a visceral and strong emotion from the majority of people.
Yeah.
That I don't think I could do it. I know I couldn't do it. It's not even a thing. I know.
Had it not involved her and her daughter, and being the age and the crime, she would be very easy to pick apart though.
As a human being, she's got everything you need to make a good roast out of, but because
she's like the perfect one.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I find, listen, I'm not saying that all murder is heinous. Okay, in my opinion, there are just some crimes that I cannot separate myself emotionally from, and frequently those are children. Crimes against children, I find, that I just can't.
And rightfully so. It should be.
I can discuss them, right, and I can hear other people's opinions and stuff like that. But as far as like a roast, that would be very difficult for me. I just felt like
it was easy to roast. I mean, you not for me, for you guys. You guys did great at it, but
thank you.
She was the perfect recipient of a roast and deserved to be roasted.
Yeah,
because
I don't know what I don't know what she did or didn't do, but I will say this: for me, there are some elements to her story, and I'm not judging her because she was the other woman. I'm judging her as a human being and the validity and credibility of the things that she said based on being a human being myself. And the truth is that women inherently, for the most part, are investigators all on their own, just in their everyday life, right? Because we're very
person in the world. She looks everything up. We have new neighbors moving. She's like, this one came from here. This one works here. This one, like, Jesus Christ.
I'm not quite that bad, but not bad, but I'm not that quite invested. But what I will say is the reason that women tend to be that way is because we are fundamentally more detail oriented than men are. It's just part of the way we are, right? That's why we're the mothers. And because mothers are detail oriented, females just are. It is what it is. It's biologic. It has nothing to do with it. Not all women, obviously, but for the most part, right? Generally speaking. So for me, the story that she was unaware of things just did not make sense to me. And the fact that she said, I don't have social media. Oh, okay. Then how come you were searching?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously she lied. And not only that, I think what I took away most from her is just how tone deaf she was. This is a serious situation, and you're sitting there. Am I going to be, is the press coming for me? Like, wait a minute, don't you know why you're sitting in this room? There's 4 deceased, you know what I mean? And
exactly. And you're more worried about your phone and getting your contacts and crap switched over, right? But you're super granola and you don't give a fuck about social media and stuff. Get the fuck. That was my problem with her. And the fact that, and a lot of people compared her in some respects to Amber Frey. The truth of the matter is with Amber Frey, she did anything and everything she could to help the prosecution, right?
She truly did not know.
Exactly. And the reason that she never referred to Connor as Connor is because she didn't know. But Kessinger did know those girls' names because she was aware at least.
She rarely ever said them, didn't she?
Correct. She never said them. That's the thing. And she knew Shanann's name because because she knew that he was going through a separation.
Right.
So that's the problem is the fact for me it will never sit right with me that she would never use their names. What does that mean? Does it mean that she's guilty of something? No, all alone in and of itself, absolutely not.
Subconsciously guilty, maybe.
She could feel guilty that maybe she was the catalyst for it because he wanted to be with her, right? And that would make sense. I understand, like, people are like, why doesn't she apologize? Why doesn't she come out and apologize? Well, here's the truth. Kessinger is not a good public speaker. She barely could speak in an interview room, okay? And let's be honest about it. The minute that you open your mouth and you speak, you're going to be judged, and she would be judged, and it would never matter what she said or how she said it. Every syllable that she spoke would be ripped to shreds by certain people, and you know it, and I know it, and anybody that's listening right now knows that too. And that's why she doesn't speak, because it's better for her not to.
Had she gone into these interviews and took it, it seemed like she wasn't even taking it seriously. Like she like she'd had 100 other things she'd rather be doing. I think if she'd gone in there and showed some raw, like that there was so little why, that was bullshit. Come on. I mean,
she did come across as flip, as
Yeah.
the situation was
Right.
like no big deal. Like, you know, they thought that Chris stole a shovel from fucking Survey. Yeah, that is how she treated it, as if it was like it's no big deal thing.
She could have gained some sympathy had she just handled that better. In my opinion, if she'd gone in there like Amber Fry or someone in a similar situation, like I want to do everything I can to help. I feel horrible. I mean, who? I mean, strangers cried over these deaths. I'm like, and you're the catalyst, like you said, and you're just sitting there like, you know, it's cool. I'm hungry, Dad. Let's get some food. A lazy dog. Like, come on, what the fuck?
Right. Now,
yeah,
I will say this. As far as I'm concerned, this is just my own personal opinion. What I didn't like, it's one thing for there to be a roast, right? We're roasting available material. It is another thing to take a picture of some chick at a grocery store and post it on the internet, right? Because
I see what you mean. Yeah. Right.
I don't know if that's her or not, right? I don't know. I wasn't there. But let me say this. People were breaking down what she had in the dadgum buggy. And to me, it's an invasion. It's an invasion if it is her, and it's an invasion if it isn't her.
No,
At the end of the day, there's no statute of limitations on murder.
Right.
If she was involved in some capacity, and they can prove it, she will be prosecuted. So at this point,
10 years,
me,
20 years. Right.
Correct. At this point, the way I feel about it is just leave her alone.
Yeah, I agree. And like you were talking about that picture, I'm like, nothing good was coming of posting that picture. We all know what she looks like.
Right.
Assuming she didn't change up, and who cares if she did? But you're inciting potential violence by
Correct.
Like she's in Colorado still. Okay, well, you know, we were all led to believe she went here, there, and everywhere else. Like now you pinpoint her down to Colorado.
Right.
They got a little bit more detail than that. Just like leave her alone. If she's guilty, it'll come out in the wash. Well, at least we would.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
But don't fuck with her.
Right, exactly. Especially like, what if that wasn't her?
Right. What if it wasn't?
And you have.
You said she didn't. I mean, there was nothing like to me. She looked like the girl next door kind of thing. Like I've seen a zillion Nicole Kessinger.
She looks average.
Average. Not beautiful. Certainly not ugly. But you know, just your average. You know, I work with a girl that kind of resembles hair wise or whatever not. But I'm just like, you know. But you're right.
Stay away from her and do not meet up with her in the lunchroom, because I'm telling you, she'll be up to no damn ass good.
Our Christmas party's Friday night. I'll stay at like in a completely different room. But no,
right.
But whoever this girl is, assuming it's not her, you know, you don't know. I mean, yeah, you're right.
And if you hear mention that she owns a brown bikini, you better quit. Just quit that job. Completely, just freaking put your 2 weeks notice in and dip.
That was the sexiest bikini I've ever seen, though.
If she's into rocks, change your name.
Crystals.
Get into Whitbeck.
Right, crystals and all that craziness.
Right, no, yeah.
That's one case I wish had gone to trial, though. That would have been interesting to see that unfold. You know, I'm disappointed that it got locked down the way it did, because I think there's more to it.
Well, I wanted it to go to trial too, obviously, right?
Right.
But that's okay. So I've been thinking about this a lot, because I wanted to know. I wasn't as into the Watts case from the get-go. It took me a while. Okay, mainly it was the people I was palling around with, Shmita, Dr. B, that I met a whole other different way that had nothing to do with YouTube or the Watts. But anyway, how I met those girls, and they're my family now, Team Psych Ward. So I didn't get as into it. It took me a long until Dr. B went to Colorado. That's when I started coming around, right? And I started thinking about it, right? Why? Okay, I get why people want the trial, right? Because there were a lot of unanswered things. And the fact of the matter is, this case, even if we had all of those answers, I've thought about this a lot. It's never going to make sense to us. We will never come to
right?
Oh, I get it now, right? I don't think that would, I don't think that would ever happen. And
right, it all makes sense now, will never be said. Right.
Correct. And then on top of it, you have to think about, okay, let's say he was found guilty. All right. And let's say but that because at that time death penalty would have been on the table, right? And he did get the death penalty because then he would have been sentenced. Then it would have just been converted to life without the possibility of parole, right? But what would have ended up happening then is that he would have had appeals, right? And so that prolongs
Just dragged
the
it out.
case
Right? Yeah.
for the families, you know what I'm saying? And that's hard on families. So selfishly, yes. Do I want the answers? Absolutely. But I have to understand at the end of the day, the people who deserve the answers, I got them and they're satisfied with them, and that should be enough for me. And that's how I left it.
That's a good
I'm
way
not
to look at it.
saying that if Chris Watts grew a conscience and decided that he was going to just blab it all the things from
Would you
start to
believe it?
finish, I would listen to it, but I don't think I would side eye the hell out of it because he's a lying mouse. Me too. I would listen, but I'd be side eyeing him the entire time because he's a liar. You know?
And another thing about him that's crazy is like everyone's always say all these good things. Oh, he was a great guy, great dad, great husband, this, that, and the other. And he was never known to be a liar. You know what I mean? In his life. Like, I mean, when he lied to a teacher that he spent the summer in Japan or something like that, that was like the only one that they could verify he lied on. Like, how do you go from that to being this monster? And then just tell everybody what went down. And do you believe the first or second, or do you believe there's something totally different with him?
Oh, I believe the second one. But listen, let me say this.
Yeah.
There's parts of the second one that I don't.
Oh, is that 100%? No.
No. What I think is that the type of person that Chris Watts appears to be, which let me put this disclaimer out, okay? I am not a licensed professional. This is not meant to treat, diagnose, and none of that crap. I'm not qualified. This is purely entertainment. All right, now that that's over. From what I've seen of Chris Watts, he seems to care very much how others perceive him. It's very important.
Narcissist, right?
But I don't know if he's a narcissist per se, but what I think is that it's not so much that he would change himself to be what other people would like. It's more about, am I getting away with it? Can they see, has the mask slipped? That's what it is for me. Are they buying it? That's how it comes across to me.
Do you think like acceptance was important to him by people, or did he not give a shit? Like, I mean, we all want to be liked. But
I think it was important to Chris that he be perceived the way that he wanted to be perceived.
As the great husband, the great father.
Correct. Correct. I don't think he wanted people to know who he really was inside. And that's what I think.
Right.
I think that's the kind of person that he was. I don't think that that's who I think he was.
His mother said even growing up, he was always very, very private. So maybe you just no one ever really got to know who he really was. I mean,
I don't think he let anybody know who he really was, to be quite honest with you. I don't even think if Nicole Kessinger, I don't even think she knew who he was. I don't think anybody did. And that's just the truth. And there are a lot of people that run around like that. And I think that I think that he withheld details about that crime, not because he can't remember. I think that's absolute baloney. Well, I think he remembers.
Yeah, right.
Okay. But I think that there are some details to that are so horrifying for him too, as well.
Right. That's like something dramatic. You can bury like.
Correct. That he doesn't want people to know.
Right.
And that's why I think that some of the questions that were asked of him, I think that he affirmed those and the questions, but I don't think that he was. Let me just say this: he said a lot, but he said very little.
You're right.
At the same time, it wasn't a let me just get this shit off my chest kind of thing.
Right. It wasn't the true Hollywood story. It was whatever he was willing to give, and he didn't. You're right. He said a lot and didn't say shit. Right.
Exactly. Like I think he lied by omission more than but I also think that he straight up just told lies too.
Yeah.
I think that I don't think that he is ever going to decide that he's going to unburden himself with it, because this is a person, in my opinion only, that has lived with secrets his entire life and is very
Right.
good at keeping them. And that he only told them as much information as would basically get them to leave him alone. And I don't believe that he was bamboozled into giving that second. It's not really a confession because
Okay.
he didn't have to speak to them. So the interview, right? Let's call it what it is, an interview.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask you, like, do you find the fact that they went up there to interview him again 6 months later, do you find that like suspicious in terms of like, I mean, what I mean by that, not suspicious necessarily, like what was the point? Like, I mean, do you think that at that time, February 2019, that maybe they still had the case open and therefore they went to see like, hey, do you have anything else you want to add to this? Or was it just really just for a resolution?
This is my personal.
And that's odd. They don't usually do that. You know what they
No,
did.
it's not like let's be honest about the resources, et cetera, that were used, right, to speak to him. They don't. It isn't like they went with somebody from the behavioral science unit of the FBI, right? They didn't go there to study him, which is typically what happens. My opinion, and my opinion only, is that they decided to visit him when they did because it was done, it was over, and they felt that he had probably had enough time to realize the gravity of the situation
right,
and where he was going to be moving forward. And if he was ever going to snitch on anybody else that may or may not have been involved, then that was the time he was going to do it. I think that's what they went up there.
Right.
That's what I think.
The second one makes more sense than the first one because you have right. There was time for reflection, and you know, he was. They did surprise him. He wasn't aware they were coming, and it was very candid and very. You know, I do think that that's the closest thing to the truth that's ever going to.
Exactly, and I think at this point, it's okay. I can understand people's need for more of a resolution, believe me. But I also understand the truth and the reality of the situation. I know as a person with a small YouTube channel, right? And it wouldn't even matter if I had a huge YouTube channel. Just it wouldn't matter.
Right.
I don't have a measure of control over what happens in the state of Arkansas. There's nothing that I could say or do that would get the state of Arkansas to do something different than what they're doing right now. Okay. And that's the truth. And I think the same could be said for the situation with Chris Watts. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter if you start a petition because Colorado doesn't care about anybody else living in any other state in the United States of America.
Yeah, Colorado,
in fact, they don't even care if you're a Colorado resident. Unless you're one of his constituents, you don't really matter and you can't affect change. So
right.
I understand believe me, I get it. Absolutely. I get it. But I feel like I think for the good of everybody, there needs to be a point, and I don't know what it'll be, but I think there should be at some point relatively soon, there needs to come some acceptance of the situation. As frustrating as it is.
Maybe that's occurring now. You know what I mean? Because people, thankfully, people have moved on from it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They stopped, you know, I mean, for the most part, I mean, this was because, like you said, I didn't even get into this thing till after the Netflix thing. I remember when it happened, and I remember my initial thought was like, she would get on my nerves talking about Shanae, just because the way she filmed everything. Thankfully, my wife doesn't do social media. She's not. We're private people. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't want my life out there for everyone to see, and it's not interesting. So therefore, people would be bored with it. But that's just your private shit. And
right.
When I saw that, I'm like, God, you know, she would annoy the shit out of me with all that. And then I forgot about it. Then the Netflix thing came out. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. We just happened to be going to Colorado for something. I'm like, let's go check all this stuff out. And we did. And then it became even bigger, you know.
Right,
went to the house, went to Lazy Dog, did all of the stuff that they do. We went to Colorado 3 times this past year. Not all for that purpose. But
Well, right.
Yeah, but every time we were there, we did the same damn Watts tour. Not the survey thing. We didn't do survey, but just the basic other stuff.
To Sugar Beet, no, and I don't even know what that case is. So I'm definitely going to have to. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I feel like I should know, but I don't know.
That name sounds familiar.
And Allie, I feel like this is what I've always felt about NK. I think that she and Chris Watts are similar in a lot of ways, and that I don't think Chris Watts met the real NK either.
Yeah,
I don't. I think that she tried very, very hard to be the antithesis of what she thought Shanann was. And to be fair to her, right? Her perception of who Shanann was based on things that she heard from Chris, right? So she didn't know.
I'm sorry, Jen. The Sugar Beet, I know this case. Yes, I'm just looking at that. It's a Florida case, Jen.
Is it? Oh my God. Is this the dude? Wait a minute. I think I do know this case. Is this the case with the husband and wife? They bought that big ass huge home. They were going to be on that show about renovation, and she was found in the bathtub.
She was found in the kitchen, beaten with a hammer. We just said no. I don't think it has anything to do with the reality show. She was a doctor. Yes. In fact, I just saw something on this case not long ago on one of hell.
Tell me the thing.
A True Crime Daily or whatever that if you look it up, it has nothing to do with the reality show, but this is going to be familiar to you, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, she had her own medical practice. I believe there was some kind of if I remember correctly, there was some kind of possible fraud occurring within.
Okay. All right.
And I think and it didn't say it on when I just Googled it, but I think he killed her on Valentine's Day.
Okay. Because there was another Florida case that I can't remember what's going on with it now, but this case was they were supposed to be on a reality show, but the guy that the husband, right? He kept avoiding being on it and would avoid. It was very difficult to film.
No. I'm thinking because I think you roasted her.
No, I haven't talked about him yet. I haven't roasted him yet, but we did talk about him, and I did give him a tiny little read.
I'm talking about
quite a roast.
What was her name? Darla, the one that was trying to.
Oh no, Depolito. No, this is a different one. This is not no. So they were supposed to be on. Okay, so this husband and wife, they were married. They bought this huge house, and the husband, what he ended up doing was completely gutting the inside of the house. Had no idea what he was doing. Zero business doing this.
This is another Florida case.
Yes, and he actually is charged with her murder. Okay. And they were supposed to be on like Renovation Nation or something like that. And he would never be there to film, so they never were on the show. And it turned out that she's the one that actually bought the house, but then the house was in solely his name, and that he said he went for a walk or whatever, and he came home and she was dead in the bathtub. But but her body didn't match what he had said happened. Her hair was dry when it should have been wet. There were all kinds of things, right? And he had these. He was hanging out at the bathhouses. There was all kinds of salacious details. But he's also.
I don't know this one. You can get names. I'd like to research.
I will. I'll give it to you. But I feel
is it fairly recent?
This was fairly recent. This is fairly recent. 2, 3, 5, somewhere 5 years ago at the most. I'll Google out and I'll tell you what it is. I'm just on my phone right now. So anyway, because you can't navigate away from StreamYard.
Since we're on sorry to interrupt, but since we're on the Florida crime thing, what about the Tote family? Are you familiar with that one? It's another family annihilator. I think I'm saying it right.
Is this the one?
It was Celebration, Florida, right around Disney World. It was December 2019, January 2020. They were like his wife and sons, and even dog. He killed his goddamn dog. At least Dieter got out of the Watts house, thank God, right? But
Dieter.
Right. He even killed the family dog, but he left them. In addition to killing them, he left them in the house for like 3 weeks, and then the cops came in. Are you familiar with that one at all?
Yes,
Big,
I think I do
grotesque,
know.
that guy. I think it's Toadt.
Yes, I think I know. Yes, I
Yeah.
do because I sometimes okay, so before I like really got all the way into YouTube, I used to play around on the Facebooks and you know how you there's a group for everything. And I
Okay.
remember this case and I remember being in a Facebook group. There were a couple, there were more than one, there were two really big ones, right? But then they were warring about one of the groups had pictures after the fact, right? It was no longer a crime scene, but they had taken a tour in it. I remember this case. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
Mhm.
I didn't deep
Another
dive.
messed up one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but it didn't get it didn't get the Watts coverage for sure. But it's yeah, and it's still. I don't know that he's going to trial yet. Come to think of it, I mean, because it's fairly
I
recent.
yeah.
This is
I
2020.
I feel like the reason that the Watts got such publicity, I think is due in large part because
That's,
Shanann was on social media so much
yeah, I mean, you
and
could watch
there
everything.
was and
That's what I
so
said all along. That's why.
yeah,
Like we all had a bird's eye view into their life. Like I mean,
yeah.
which
But it
is
was only a glimpse really because
oh no, absolutely. And a
what we
family knows
saw,
it.
on her social media, it was a part of who Shanann was. And
Right.
I think that people, um, I think this is another interesting thing because there's a difference, and sometimes it can be subtle between victimology and victim bashing. And I think that when you a pregnant woman is one of the most, aside from a child, right, is second
Right.
to child is one of the
Right.
most
It's like
vulnerable.
an angelic kind of like yeah.
Correct. And
It's untouchable. Right.
correct. It's
Yeah.
and it does evoke a visceral reaction from people, but I
And
think
rightfully so.
that it should, exactly. And I think that there is a fine sometimes it's clear cut victim bashing, right? But I think what happened with this case in particular is that there were people that want to understand how we got here because until you
Right.
figure out the why, you can't even begin to then go forward thinking, is it preventable? Are there signs, right? Is there a
Right.
way to avoid this?
Right.
And I think that generally speaking, the majority of people that were talking about it in that regard, that is where their hearts were. I will say there were a small fraction of people relative to the internet, right? That just did not like Shanann and didn't give a rat's fat kneecap really about the case and thought, to be quite frank, that she deserved it. I don't understand that line of
No,
thinking.
that's horrible to say, but I can understand where people like didn't care for her, and I don't mean anything against her, but we have a friend that posts everything she eats, everything she does, everything, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, nobody cares, and I put her in the same category, Shanann, as our friend that does that. I'm just like, people don't care what you're doing, like you're not that important. So hate, absolutely not. Annoying, yes. Annoying, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I think that people were trying to figure out using the only available data that they had, right? Which
Right.
would be her social media. But then one of the key elements, and I think that it's been discussed, but I don't think it's been discussed in depth or maybe the way it should have been, is the element of the MLM. And the reason I bring that
That
up
got
is
glossed over. They didn't do much with that at all, did they?
right. And I think this is what I personally think. When I see her videos, what I see is a salesperson.
Yeah.
And I see that in those videos, it's not so much that she is trying to give people a look at me, right? What she's doing,
Just
in my
it
opinion, is
wasn't
selling
genuine.
it's selling an image. I think there were a lot of times that she was genuine, but what I feel was that I think she was being genuine. I just don't think she was being completely open. She was selling an image
Right.
that if you take this specific brand of what I'm selling,
You're
you
at a
can
perfect
be
life.
like this too.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that people confuse that with that's who she was. But I think it was one facet of who she was,
But
a
any of
small
us
facet.
who've been around for at least 5 minutes know that life's not perfect. You may love your
Right.
spouse, but they're going to get on your goddamn nerves from time to time. Like, not everything's rainbows and sunshine. Like, I have the perfect daughters, I have the perfect husband, I have the perfect life. It doesn't work. And when people try to ram that down, like I was telling you, the friend we have, she just got married this past summer, and she's my husband this, my husband that. I hang out with these people. I'm like, you guys
This
have
is
the
not
same.
you at all. You guys are the most dysfunctional bunch of assholes I've ever met. Yeah.
I mean, I've witnessed it. It happens. No one gets along 100%. So stop putting out this image of shit that is not accurate whatsoever. But of course, you're not. I also don't want to go online and see someone who's bitching and moaning about their spouse or their kids, because like, what's the fun in that too? But
Well, right.
it'd be nice to have a little mixture. Like, I'm having a great day, but my kids are on my goddamn nerves. My husband's a dick. Whatever. Not. Then the next day we made up. Everything's cool, kind of thing.
Right, which I think,
Like selling an image that's it's just not.
I feel
genuine.
that if it weren't for the MLM component,
You're
I
right.
feel like we would have seen more of that from her.
Right.
I feel like, because she did like to document everything, but
Right.
and it is, from what I am understanding, with this specific company, they require a certain amount of social media posts.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And so can you imagine the level of pressure that would be on a human being? I get stressed. I every single time before I go live, it starts like an hour before it's time, right? I get incredibly nervous every single time. It never gets easier. I cannot imagine being required to go live X amount of hours, X amount of days. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes. I put the pressure I put on myself for this case is because I feel like you guys have been supporting me since May 5th of this year. And when I go back and I look at what I've given since May 5th up until this point, relative to what I could be doing, has really been not that great. I've not been consistent. I throw a video out when I feel like it, and I don't want to be like that.
You've got a life.
I do.
Other responsibilities.
But let me just say this. Let me just be 100%. I do have a life, right? But a lot of my time is spent fucking around doing other shit. That's just the truth. I mean, yes, I do what I'm supposed to do, but what I'm saying is, I did this, I decided that I wanted to be more involved with my channel, right? Something that another creator said, she wasn't speaking to me. She was actually speaking to somebody else. But what she said was, I can tell you right now why your channel isn't growing. It's because you're not consistent. Your subscribers want to know that they can count on you. And it just hit me. So then I was like, I'm going to try.
Jen, are you looking for quantity or quality? You know what I mean? There's a big difference between the two, and I'm not talking down to you. You obviously know this.
No, I know.
I'm just saying, like, the quality that you're putting out, it's good stuff when you're able to do it. But do you want 800 people in here? You know what I mean?
I don't. It's not. It's not about, for me. It's not about the live chat part. With a smaller number of people, I feel it's more intimate and it's easier for me to be able to interact with everybody. If there were a crazy amount of number, I wouldn't be able to interact. And what would be the purpose? I feel the purpose of going live is to have the interaction.
But there's certain ones out there that all they're looking at is their numbers. There's 800 and some people, and that's great and all, but I mean, it's I don't know, whatever.
For me, I want my subscribers. It became important to me when I got monetized, not because not for the money part of it, but because you guys became members.
Right.
To me, I nothing is more frustrating than supporting a channel month after month, right? And you don't get what you signed up for. Because YouTube, when they monetize you and they allow you to have memberships, they give you a template, right? And you can just click that and it'll go through. Or you can think about what you're actually able to deliver, which is what I did. And there are other creators that do it that way too. But I didn't want to I've been a sub, so I know how it feels to be a sub, right?
Mhm.
And I've paid for things and not gotten what and it's
Yeah.
irritating. And I feel like I should, if you're willing to give me, I don't give a rat's fat kneecap if you give me $1 or if you give me a penny.
Mhm.
It's that the amount is irrelevant. It's the fact that you were willing to give. So
Right.
I feel like I should give something too. And eventually, my hope is I would like to get a wider audience for the West Memphis 3. And the
Yeah.
reason that I hope for this is because I do feel that this is a case that, and there are other cases, this isn't the only case, but this is the case that I know about
That's your
that
case. Right.
deserves somebody to
Mhm.
to stand up and say. And plus there's things going on in the case now, but
Yeah, it's still ongoing, right?
right, for people but they may be hearing what's going on now, but they don't know what happened back then. And that's the people that I want to reach. The people that are interested in what's going on now, I want them to understand how the hell we got here, why the
Right.
case is like this.
Right.
And I don't listen, I will never knock the documentaries. I'm telling you right now, 90% of the people that are involved in this case in one way or another, whether they're involved now or involved then, whatever the case is, they heard about it through the documentaries, and that is a fact. Okay,
Mhm.
it is a good place to get an overview,
Of
right?
course.
I will never knock that, but there's stuff in that the documentaries just couldn't cover because there's so much.
But another thing about documentaries, yeah, they're very informative and you can gather a lot of information and learn a lot, but they're also you can't be interactive with them. This is the difference.
Correct.
You
It's
can let
yeah,
people come up and not necessarily debate them, but hear each other's views and things like that. I mean, that's the cool thing about this platform, where it's
yeah.
open to interpretation and to allow people to express themselves and what they think. And you and I, with that case, may be in complete opposite whatever about it, but it's kind of cool that we could debate it, right?
Correct.
So
Because I'm not so listen, I have what's available to everybody else. Okay. The entire case file is available for anybody and everybody to read for free. You don't have to pay a dime. Okay.
mhm.
Just because I have interpreted a specific piece of the case file one way doesn't mean that
Doesn't
it's the
mean
right
it's
way.
right.
Right.
It's not, yeah, right.
And having talks like this opens your mind up to hearing other things and a different perspective, and maybe a
Exactly.
new and perhaps better, more effective direction to go in.
And
And that's
it could change your mind, right? You could hear something like, you know what?
exactly,
I never thought of it that way. That's
exactly,
a good point.
exactly. So for me, I I started a YouTube channel not because I thought I was going to get YouTube famous. Like that's not at all. I don't
Right.
expect any of that. But what I have had people like you, people like Ali79, my girls, Max 2000. A lot of you guys have come in every single time I've ever either done a live or premiered a video. And
Mhm.
you guys are the people that I want to interact with. And I get very frustrated about I recognize about the amount of drama that is in this true crime community.
What the,
And I
yeah.
say to myself all the time, I'm sick of this drama. Well, why are you watching it then,
Well,
Jen? If you weren't watching, you wouldn't know,
when did
right?
true crime and drama like intersect? I don't. They should have never intersected. When and why and how and why are we still tolerating it? You know?
Exactly. And for my part, all I can do is, right, give people something else to watch. If I don't think that I'm alone in the sentiment of the drama is out of control. It's gotten ridiculous.
Right.
It's gone way past real life, and I don't like it. It's toxic, right?
It
But
is.
what?
Yeah.
And then so that was part of it too. Right about as the drama was getting like ridiculous and outrageous is about the time that I hit the 4,000 watch hours that I needed. And I thought to myself, well, YouTube is offering this, so what can I offer back? And then I thought to myself, what good is being annoyed with the drama? What change is that really going to affect? None. I'll be just another voice bitching. Bitching is good, but bitching without action.
But what's the end
does
game
nothing.
with all the drama? What's the end game? To have people shut down or what? I don't understand why. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's a few things I look at that I really, it's like, it's like a train wreck. It's like, why the fuck am I looking at this? But
Right.
there's entertainment wrapped into it. We can't deny that. There's entertainment wrapped
Right.
into it.
There
But
is.
I want to know, like, where, and I'm not mentioning any names. You know all these people. Like, what's like, where do you want to be in come April or May? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Like, how long can this
is only
possibly go on?
sustainable for so long to keep talking shit about everybody else.
Right. I can't figure out. I can't figure it out because I'm trying to. I'm one of these people. Ask the girls; they'll tell you they get. I mean, I'm sure I get frustrated with me, and they love me. So maybe they don't get frustrated with me, but I get frustrated with me. I am endlessly doing if then but clauses constantly in my brain thinking, and I watch it and I see what is it going to take for it to stop? What is it going to? And what I've realized is I can do a couple of things as one person. And then I started, and I used to give people lectures about this too. Like I've seen people become apathetic and say things like, what can one person do? Well, let me tell you what one person can do. Rosa Parks was one person. And what did she do?
Made a big difference. Right.
She made a huge difference. And
yes,
that's really all it takes is one person. So what I decided is rather than I can do two things. One, I cannot watch, right? And that's going to be one view. But that's not enough. I'm not saying every single person that's tired of the drama is going to enjoy what I have to offer because that's ridiculous. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's cool because it's not meant. The world isn't meant to work like that. That's why variety is the spice of life.
Right.
But I do feel that there are a group of people who feel the way that I do, frustrated and don't really know what to do about it. And my thought was, what is the one thing that we all have in common that got us to even be aware of one another and even be watching the same stuff? True crime.
True crime.
What if I start talking about fucking true crime like I started the channel to do in the first damn place? A little humor.
What a crazy idea, right?
Yeah. And I feel that's my part. That's what I can do. Which,
Jen, and that's kind of what's cool because you're being consistent about just doing what you're doing, and everyone else, they're straying and they're going and they're watching all this, but they're going to get tired of it too, and then they're going to be like, where's the purpose I came in? Where's the real true crime channels? Because everyone else has now become a shit show, so they're all gonna retreat back to where they originally started, or at least find new places to go because you can only take but so much of this just constant. I mean, this is I don't even know how to describe any of this nonsense.
Okay,
and I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot of what's going on. I know the main player names and all this, and but I'm like, it's all so fucking stupid.
I agree, and I feel like for me anyway, I enjoy a certain level of shit talking because that is what the roasts are based around.
We're human beings, of
shit
course.
Talking, right? But what I don't like and
Small
what I
doses.
won't participate in is creator on creator roasts, and I don't want to participate in creator and sub roasts. I don't like that. I feel like there's a certain I understand why some people feel the need to make others aware. Yes, I do. But what I also realize is that there has to be more. I feel like
this isn't sustainable. This cannot go on. You know what I mean? It can't go on like this. There's got to be, again, like I was saying before, for lack of an end game. Like, what is it?
Right. I don't think anybody will ever. The fact of the matter is that this is a platform for human beings, right? And human beings do what human beings do, and they
Right.
have conflict, they have disagreements, which leads to drama. But
Yep.
I feel that the level of drama and toxicity has gotten so bad that it's unhealthy for everybody, and it doesn't even matter who's, and I don't even like to use this word, but side, right? Which side you take, or who you believe, or who you don't, whatever, right?
There is a
It
side.
doesn't
There's a
even
line in the
matter.
sand to where, like certain people, wherever you hang out, you know, you can't go here. You wouldn't be welcome. You know what I mean? So you're
Right.
when there's a line in the sand, and it's like,
There is, and I don't like
Yeah.
that. And this is the other element of that I don't like. I barely consider myself a creator. I just barely started, right? So I'm not, but I do produce content. So in some respects,
Yeah,
I am
that's a
somewhat
creator.
of a creator, right? What I don't agree with is creators paying attention to where subs go. And I'm not talking about, because I don't, you guys, to me, I don't even like that term subs, because it's dehumanizing. It's as if you're a number. But what I'm
Right.
saying is, I'll put it like this: my familiars, you guys are all familiar to me. We've hung around not only on my channel, but in other channels and in other
Mhm.
chats. We've
Right.
run into each other a lot on these YouTube streets, right? But if I see you somewhere else and I'm shocked, I'm not going to ever make a mention of it as
Yeah,
if
like
it's a negative.
why the hell were you over there? Right.
Right, exactly. And
Right.
I don't like how what that has become,
Right.
where people are creating different accounts other than the one that they've always used, so that
Yeah.
they can freely chat wherever the hell they want to.
Right.
That's
Right.
ridiculous. And I don't know
Right.
where that started or when that started. All I know is it needs to stop. And what I
It does.
also know is that at the end of the day, if you don't, you will, whether you have views or not, you still have a channel, and that's just the truth. But why would anybody put out, whether it be videos or lives, if nobody's there, particularly lives? If there's nobody watching, who are you talking to?
Right.
In a live, right? Videos are a little different, but in a live, what I would like to see done, and I think needs to happen, is I think subscribers need to hold creators accountable. When did it stop being a thing for somebody who was watching in a live chat and participating in the live chat to see a creator say something or do something so egregious that they don't speak? I have never seen that before. I have seen people in chats.
The norm now, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen people in chats before be like, what the fuck did you just say? Who the fuck do you think you are? And
and then it's holy war over the whole. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that yes, Ali, that too. I think that
I will say this real quick. I think we're all the smartest people on YouTube.
All 15 of us, yes, we are.
In this group right here. No, seriously, because we get it. We totally
get it. We do get it. And this is what
we're free to lurk where we want to lurk if we choose to. And but we're the smartest ones here because we're not throwing mud. We're talking true crime and having a good time, laughing and talking about old movies and shit like that.
Yeah, and
that's the thing.
I have stumbled into chats, and for whatever reason, whatever the creator is saying at the time has made me comment. Usually good. I usually don't. Unless it's something like completely foul, I usually don't, say anything. I just leave if I don't want to. If I don't like the content, I just bounce.
And Team Psycho just brought up a great point. I'm sorry, Jen, that I just want to, because I was going to say it myself, but COVID didn't help us with the fact that everybody was locked up and we all had to rely on our devices to communicate with our coworkers and our friends and everything like that. And the cool thing about this is we're able, like, I wouldn't have probably normally met you or anyone else for that matter. So that's kind of cool that we're, accepting technology for what it is, but there doesn't have to be hate and division and things like that.
Correct.
I'm no saint obviously, but I can't deal with that shit. Yes, I occasionally look, but at the same time, I can only tolerate about maybe 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, fuck this.
Right,
And then
exactly.
I was on a live last night with a woman who I just stumbled upon, and there literally was 8 people in there. And I was on there with her for, Jesus Christ, like 4 hours. And we were talking about, she lives in the state of Oklahoma. And I've had been there one time, and we just talked about that.
Yeah.
Innocent, stupid, whatever. But I would have never have met her otherwise. And her husband was even on there too. And it was a cool thing, just meeting different people. But, I just would rather talk to you about the state of Oklahoma than anything about she said this and this one doesn't belong there and this one made fun of me for that. Like, fuck off.
Right. And see, I think that's the problem. See, I think that when this is just what I've observed personally. It appears to me that when it becomes a creator on creator situation, it's very easily for the both creators to blow off what they're hearing as, and I've seen it and heard it so many times, jealousy, or they're just talking out of their head, or they don't know. Exactly. Whatever. And there's a lot of people are guilty of that. Okay. But it's not the in my opinion, from what I've observed, is it doesn't see creators from one creator to another, depends on the creator obviously, but just by and large the problematic issues, right? It doesn't, a creator calling out another creator doesn't seem to affect change. It actually, depending on who the creator is, can perpetuates and then bullshit. Correct, and then it escalates and escalates and escalates, yes. Right?
And again, what's the end game? What do we
correct.
Want?
I can't figure that out. So this is what so then I started thinking about
it. Strike me, I'll strike you. I'm like, whatever.
Exactly. Well, who would a creator listen to? Well, they should listen to their audience. And if their audience is telling them or would tell them,
or find your niche. Find your niche. You like the true crime. That's your thing. Some people like to do cooking, crafts. They like to do fucking sports. I follow because I'm a big NFL fan. I got a bunch of NFL shit like that. When I get tired of this stuff, that's when I go there. I'm like, this is real life to me. You know what I mean? I like all that.
Right.
This is a mind fuck after a while. It's just like, God damn.
Exactly.
Everyone just get along or just
or just leave each other the fuck alone.
There you go.
I will say, however, there are circumstances in which a creator could be potentially so problematic. I am not a believer in cancel culture. I do believe
me neither.
That is not the answer. That's not the solution. Okay.
But bad behavior does need to be addressed.
Correct. Yes. Correct. But the people who should be addressing it are the people who watch it. They're the people.
They fuel the fire.
Correct. Correct. Let's be honest about how human nature
is. That goddamn thing.
Right. Let's be honest about how human nature is. Okay. If you're a person and there are 1,000 people watching you, and 950 of those people tell you you're wonderful, but 50 of those people tell you you're a piece of shit. Who are you? There are people who will, by and large, believe the 950. I happen to be the type of person that will want to know, why do those 50 people think that way?
Yeah, right. What am I doing wrong here?
Look at myself. And I guarantee you, not all 50 of them will be right, but at least one. So 49 will be wrong and one will be right. And there is something that you're doing. And I feel like, I don't want to say, oh, it's, because I'm a sub to many, many channels. Right. Sure. But I also, when I see something, I say something. I'm one of those people because I don't like it.
I've seen you say something.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, but I do think that as a community, and I understand that there's the true crime community, and then there's little tiny communities inside of the true crime community. But we all belong to the bigger community, which is that of true crime.
To me, it seems the little tiny guys right now are the ones that are, hey, I've learned a lot.
Hey, I've learned a lot.
That are keeping keeping true with what this initial thing was. You know what I mean? That they're doing their content the way it was originally designed to do. They're not being sidetracked by the drama, which is so fucking stupid.
Right.
So stupid. And I'm not going to give any specific details. I don't want to highlight them, but I mean, I heard something today where they were literally arguing over something that some kind of fucking napkins. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm like, what?
Oh, not Napkin Gate. Molson, man, I can't take Napkin Gate. I'm done with Napkin Gate.
I'm like, fuck off.
Right, like.
So you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. I'm the one that I was in a specific chat and hashtag Napkin Gate.
Oh, did you?
I mean, come on. Are you really that surprised? It's very fucking on brand for me. Let's be honest. I will take the most awkward situation and make a joke. That's who I am.
These people involved in this, they've got bigger channels. They've got people, and they're getting super chats all the time. Like, why? I guess this is what people want to see. They like the train wreck. I don't know. You know,
I do think, but then I started thinking about that, right? And I do think that there are people that will inherently and always be attracted and stay attracted to a train wreck or any type of drama situation, right? And there isn't anything that I'm going to be able to say or you're going to be able to say.
Give me 1 second. I got to run a quick errand downstairs.
Okay.
I'll be right back. Yep.
Okay. So basically my point is that I feel like if you have a channel, okay, and you are feeling the way I was feeling, I got very frustrated, and the girls will tell you, I really felt like, what's the point? Why am I working so hard to put out content? Because anybody that's ever made a video will tell you it's difficult. It's not, okay, difficult is not the right word. There's all kinds of stuff that you can use that makes it easier, right? But it's tedious. Putting it all together takes time. And I thought to myself, it felt to me at the time, looking back, I might have been a little bit sensitive, but at the time I felt like it wasn't what people wanted. And I couldn't figure out if it was me bringing the content and my brand of the way that I bring the content isn't what people wanted, or if it was strictly the case because I was just doing the West Memphis 3, or if it was some combination. And because it seemed to me that it was all drama all the time, and a little drama every once in a while is okay. I feel like everything should be in moderation. You shouldn't have too much of anything. And I was getting frustrated, and I thought maybe it is me. But then I would go into chats and people would ask me, well, when are you gonna? And then I'd think to myself, okay, well, obviously it can't be me. Maybe it's just a case. So that's when I said, okay, well, let me start mixing it up a little. Let me talk about more than just one case. But what then ended up happening, because I was getting frustrated, I put off doing the one case that was important to me. So I had to take several steps back and look at myself and look at the bigger picture and say, and it is possible for me to talk about the West Memphis 3. Thank you, Allie. You're so sweet. And then talk about other cases. And my first toe into that was doing the true stories behind some of the horror films. I like horror films. It was Halloween. It was, the perfect time to try. I felt like people would be receptive because it was Halloween. So that's what I tried. And that's when I realized, okay, it's not me so much. It is, for one thing, it's difficult to get into a case when the creator, i.e. me, goes weeks without the next episode. And that is another thing I consider too. A lot of reason I don't even watch cable TV anymore is because, frankly, I'm too fucking impatient to wait a week for the next episode. I'd rather binge the whole last season, which then has become a problem with me because
but then you regret it after you do it, right?
Well, what happens is Game of Thrones, thank you very much, likes to wait 2 or 3 years before they put out the next freaking season.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating. Thankfully, there's a variety, right? So I started thinking about it, and that's when I started to try the new things, like I was saying with the Halloween, and then with the whatever happened or what happened to, and then the stuff for Christmas, because this is my small way of not bitching, but doing.
Yeah.
Because that's really all I can do.
And the cool thing is you're doing what you're doing, and we can still hop on. If you want to bitch for 5 or 10 minutes, you still can.
Yeah,
right?
But I don't want to. Yeah, exactly. And I don't want. But I feel like, because I don't. This is my other thing that I don't see. What I don't see is not so much an end game. I don't see a resolution. I don't see how what's happening right now could possibly be resolved. And that's just a fact. It's not a judgment on anybody one way or the other. It's just what I've seen.
I'm sorry
go
again.
ahead. No,
What's
go
going to
ahead.
have to happen is everyone's going to have to just take their toy and go home and play with
Correct.
themselves. Do you know what I mean? And just forget about, take your ball and go home. That's what it's going to boil down to. And the more we sit there and, I'm going to egg your house, I'm going to key your car, all this, just stop,
Right.
There's plenty of room on here for everybody to do whatever the hell they want to do.
Correct.
And so just do it.
Correct. And
if everybody came together, think of how cool that would be. If everybody came together for like a greater purpose.
Right, exactly. And
I'm not trying to sound cheesy here, but I mean,
no, but you're right. You're right.
You're right.
There are drama channels, and there is a drama community.
Right.
So if that's your bag,
the lines have blurred.
Then go do that. I'm not judging. It doesn't matter as long as your content isn't breaking the law or violating another human being's rights. I don't care what you talk about. I don't care if you want to argue that Darth Vader was the most misunderstood motherfucker in the whole galaxy. I don't care what stance you.
I would prefer to debate that for 2 hours over napkins. Do you see
Correct.
what I'm saying? Let's talk about Darth Vader for 2 hours.
Or the meaning of what the meaning of is. It's tedious and pedantic, and I don't think it's this is never what the true crime community was intended to be like.
Well,
and
Samantha,
the truth is,
it's not over. There's still 2 more seasons coming. Just so you know, in case I don't know, she's upset about American Horror Story ending, but there's 2 more seasons still.
Yeah, and I will say this, Sam, on that note. Dear Ryan Murphy, if you're listening to this right now, first let me say thank you. I also want to say, yes.
Did you watch season 10?
Of course I did. I also want to say that I'm a huge fan of your work, all of your work. However,
did you watch American Crime Story also?
Of course.
Okay. The Clinton one.
Yes. I am very upset with you, Mr. Ryan Murphy, because I feel that in your quest to branch out and expand the American Horror Story universe, you neglected the baby, which would be American Horror Story. And while I'm grateful for the spinoff and it was good and everything, I felt like it took away and we got shortchanged this season. Not so much in quality, but for sure in quantity. And I was left with more questions than answers this season, and I don't appreciate that. Do what?
I love season 10. I loved it.
I did too. I thought this was a really good. I like the way they broke it up. Okay, but here's my problem. I didn't particularly care for the way that Red Tide or what was it? Something Desert.
Death Valley.
Death Valley. I don't like. It was so abrupt.
Red Tide was great. The ending sucked.
It was just.
Yeah, when they went to Hollywood, I'm just like, you had such a good thing going there.
It was exactly. I felt like we never got a chance, the way that we have so many other seasons, to become invested in the characters. You know what I'm saying? So I felt
characters too. They were good characters, but you're right. They were shortened. It was
exactly. They never, but they had the spinoff too. instead of American Horror Story, they did a spinoff,
Right.
which was only available on Hulu, on FX, which was American Horror Stories,
Stories,
which
yeah,
was
I saw that.
it was some of the episodes are better than others, always.
The one
But
Farrell was my favorite. That was my
yes,
favorite.
yes. But my problem with this specific
He's got
season
too much
is,
shit going on.
yes, like the
Yeah.
story for
Spread
Red
too
Tide.
thin.
What exactly? It was phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And just about the time I was starting to get invested in the character where I cared to know what the fuck happened to them, right?
Mhm.
It was over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then boom, it was Death Valley. And I was under the impression from the way the trailers were done
There'd be
that they were
connection between
going
the
to
two.
be, yes, that they were going to be interconnected, and there wasn't.
There wasn't anything.
And I have to say that although I enjoyed Death Valley, Red Tide was far superior. But Death Valley was even more lacking in character development.
Because Death Valley was reduced to what was it? 4 or
I
5.
feel like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah,
And I
Red
remember,
Tide was 6, I believe. Death Valley was only 4.
mhm,
So that was shortchanged from Jump Street anyway, which it shouldn't have been because it could have been its own season.
because exactly, and that was my other thing, is that what the other thing that was fundamentally missing for me from this season is everybody who's ever watched American Horror Story knows that whichever episode it is that is either on Halloween or right before Halloween, right, depending
That
on
was
how
the big
Halloween
one.
follows,
Right.
is the biggest
Yeah.
one. It's also the longest one, and it's also the one with the least commercials, right? Which
Right.
I watched it on Hulu the next day, so I don't even have commercials. But
And
just
it was over before Halloween. It was even-
correct.
yeah.
That's what I was looking for. So when
Yeah.
the last episode aired from Death Valley, I thought, okay, in other seasons, there has been like a mid-season break, right? And I
Yeah.
thought maybe that's what happened. I hit up the Googles, and to my dismay, that was the last
That was
episode,
it. It's over.
and I was
Yeah.
upset. I'm very upset with you, Ryan Murphy. Very.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to burp. I
Keep
mean,
walking,
look,
Ryan Murphy. You better step away.
I'm gonna have listen. You and I need to chat because that Red Tide and Death Valley had so much potential.
Yeah, they did.
And
Yeah.
especially because we haven't seen one with Evan Peters in a long time. And
Oh
he's
yeah,
a
he was great.
staple.
He was great, and as what was it, Austin Summers? Is that who it was? Red Tide. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, he's great in every single season. Not so much. I mean, he was great in Roanoke for the brief amount of time that he was there. But you know
What's
what
your
I'm
least
saying?
favorite season? As for your least favorite, just
Obviously Roanoke. That's a no-go. I don't even count that as a season. So let's just take that one out right
mine
away.
was Apocalypse. I thought Apocalypse was awful.
This
What
week,
about
okay.
what's your favorite?
Murder House will always. And that's a lie.
No, that goes with that. Yeah.
That's a lie. Murder House isn't my favorite. Actually,
Asylum, right?
Asylum is my favorite. Yes.
Okay, okay, Red Tide's my favorite, just because it's the freshest one, but I did enjoy the whole thing. I liked Cult. I didn't mind Cult at all. A lot of people didn't care for it. Roanoke, I didn't care much. I didn't mind Roanoke. Asylum was good. I just thought it was a little too long. Same with Freak Show. And
You didn't like Freak Show?
What's that?
Or you did? You didn't like Freak Show, or you did?
No, I didn't mind Freak Show. I just felt it was a little long. Because I think Asylum and Freak Show were like their longest seasons, I believe.
They were, and I'll say that.
Oh, Hotel, Samantha, that was my fucking favorite. I forgot how did I forget about Hotel? That was my absolute favorite one.
Allie, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay. So for me, Asylum is my favorite. And I understand what you're saying about Freak Show, but if you remember back to Freak Show tied several seasons together, which I appreciate.
You're right.
It was also Jessica Lange's last season. So I think that's why they made it longer. And I will say this about Hotel. I did not care for Hotel initially. And it was not anything but petty bullshit because I was just very disgruntled that my girl crush, Jessica Lange, was
She's
no
gone,
longer going
right?
to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was so upset. And I
right,
was like, I like Lady Gaga as a singer, but fuck, I'm not watching Hotel. But I would
right.
still watch it, and I'd be watching it with a scowl. So then I was like, okay, Jen, you have to move past you have to move through the stages of grief, and you need to get to the finals, which is acceptance, and just accept it. And
It
once
is
I
what
did
it is.
that,
Right.
correct. And then once I did that, and I rewatched the season altogether, because that's another one that took a break. That season took a break too, which then made me lose. Then I got irritated. But when I watched it for the second time, it is a really good season. And my favorite episode, ironically enough, is when they explain how she became who she was. That was my
Right.
favorite. That
Right.
was my favorite.
That's a good. I mean, we can't. I mean, there's always going to be ones we don't like or whatever, but we can't deny
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's a good season. And the American Crime Story, I fucking love them.
Yes,
I
and
didn't watch. I
I
didn't
love.
watch the one. I didn't watch season 2. Was that the one with the fashion guy? I didn't watch that one. I watched the OJ one, of course, which is well done, and of course the recent one, which is was the Clinton thing. And then they were supposed to do Hurricane Katrina, but they scrapped that one for whatever reason. I believe that would have been a good one too, but
It would have been.
it would have
Okay,
been.
so I I watched them all, and I will say I will recommend the Gianni Versace one for you because
Okay.
it's really well done. There's some controversy in it by the people who are still living, but it really broke down who and what Andrew Cunanan was. It was really more about him than it was about Gianni Versace. And
And
the
he's the one.
truth of
He
the
was the
matter
gunman, right?
is, yes, and the
Okay.
truth of it is that Gianni Versace was other than himself, was the last person that Andrew Cunanan murdered. Right? Then he took his own life. But what's forgotten, and even for me, I forgot the other victims that led up to Gianni Versace.
I
And
wasn't aware that there was other victims. I don't know the story well.
There were several, and
Okay.
their stories were super compelling because not people like when they covered the story, they covered them as well, right? His first victims, they covered them, but the headliner was Gianni Versace, which isn't Gianni Versace's fault, right? And it isn't really even the media's fault. It's just that you lead with. I mean, if he was fucking Gianni Versace, okay, of course he's going to be the headline, right? But I really liked the way that they told the other victim stories. I thought it was really well done.
You have to check that out. Switching gears though, did you watch Cobra Kai?
Of course I did.
Oh my god! And season 4 comes out New Year's Eve. I can't wait. And that's another one. Like we'll binge it the whole day, and then we'll be all pissed off 2 days later. Like, oh damn.
I'll tell you what. I feel like, okay, because it comes out New Year's Day. We should New Year's Eve. So
New Year's Eve.
I'll binge, you binge, and then when we're both finished and have had time to process what we just binged, right?
All right.
Then maybe we'll go live together and talk about it. How about that?
That'll be cool. What did you obviously you're enjoying it because my wife didn't care for season 3. I loved it. I loved when Allie came back. I thought that was so cool to have her back.
I think it needed to happen. Like I feel like there needed to be sort of that what kicked off the rivalry in the first place.
That's what started it, right?
Was Allie and that damn radio. So
I have a radio like that too.
I know. Why a lot of people? I think a lot of people that are our age probably did.
Right.
But I really liked the way they brought back a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Bobby, all of them, really.
Yeah. And then Terry Silver's coming back in season 4.
Yes, and I liked how they brought the guy that he fought. It's late for me.
Chosen.
Yes, and how I thought it was good, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So.
But when you watch them, did you binge them all in one day?
Not in one day. It took me like 2.
Okay, well, still, you got it out of the way pretty quickly. It may have taken us
Yes.
as well, but yeah, we got it done as quick as possible, just because
Yeah.
just one after the other. But yeah, that was good. Did you watch? Do you remember Bates Motel?
Yes, I watched every single episode of that. In fact, I've watched that whole season like 3 times.
That was phenomenal. That was well done. That one.
It really was.
It
really was.
Right.
And I liked that she kept to like the main themes from Hitchcock, right? But I thought that the storylines that she chose to expand were very well done, and they were the right storylines to expand. And I don't know if you've ever.
They had a lot of new stuff going on with the whole the marijuana drug thing, like in the sex trafficking thing. They had a lot of other stuff going on that just kept it all like lots of moving parts, but it was still kept all of it. You know what I mean?
Yes, it was reminiscent, in my opinion, of Twin Peaks minus the Black Lodge.
Okay, I never saw Twin Peaks, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It's really good. Now, The Return, which only only Showtime had it, right?
Okay.
The Return was good. I'm a huge fan of David Lynch, but
Is he an actor or a
he's the director.
Okay.
He also stars in it.
Okay.
I appreciate all of his work, and his work tends to be leave you like puzzled, right? But I felt that there was too much. It was, it was an element of Twin Peaks that was enjoyable. The shit that you're just like, what the fuck, right? But it was too much for
supernatural elements in it.
They did have some supernatural elements in it. Yeah, they did a lot. But it was really well done. And I thought that the second, or the Return, which would technically be season 3, I thought it was good, well done. And it was intended to explain and fill in the gaps of some stuff that they weren't able to do the first time around. But it didn't. There were parts of the gap explanations that then had the weird David Lynch twist that just ran on too long. Like it was too twisted. It was so twisted that it didn't make sense. Like even with just the original 2 seasons, the twists made sense, right? They were way out there and they were crazy as fuck, but they made sense. These and The Return, in my opinion, and I've watched it twice because I thought, okay, maybe how sometimes you can watch something. There's technically 3.
3. You said 3 was The Return. Okay.
Yeah. So I just felt like, even after watching it the second time, none of the questions I had originally left over from the first time I watched The Return were answered. So.
Gotcha. What Momo was talking, I meant to bring this up before. See the monkey back here?
Is that a Munchie-Chi?
That's no. This was my son's. This is my son just turned 20 on Sunday. This was his toy or his thing when he was like, God, a baby. But it did remind me of your avatar, and I was going to mention that before.
So cute. I couldn't figure out what that was.
It's a monkey. That's his. This used to be his bedroom. He doesn't live here anymore, but this used to be his bedroom.
Aww, he needs a Capri Sun. He does, Momo. You're right. So yeah, I liked that. And the other show I'm liking a lot too is Big Sky. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it at
I've not seen it.
It's really good, and I would suggest, like, just don't start now because season 2 is about to be over. I would just wait until season 2 is over and then binge both seasons on Hulu. That's what I would do.
Yeah, somebody was talking to me about that. I don't remember what they said, except that the fact that it was good. But yes, that's something I'm down to check out. What about Ozark? You know Ozark?
I haven't watched that.
Check that out.
I might try.
Yeah, I think season 4 begins next month. It's been a long wait, but that's a good one.
Okay. I haven't found, other than like American Horror Story, Game of Thrones, and there a Bates Motel, and there's a couple other ones that I really just felt compelled that I have to watch.
And then you watch them over and over because they're so good.
Yes, it's been a long time, and I'm open to finding a series like that that sucks me back in again, and I get recommended stuff, and I've taken. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a risk taker. Okay, so I be scrolling through the Netflix, the Hulu's, the Prime, and
Mhm.
I will click and take a chance. Um, I'm frequently disappointed,
So
especially
am
in
I.
Netflix's horror section. Please,
That's
Netflix,
I have a
get
hard
your
time.
shit together.
I have a hard time jumping in sometimes because within the first 15 minutes, like, nah, not for me, not for me.
I
And then I have
don't
a buddy
exactly.
of mine that's like, you got to watch it by season or by episode 3. You'll be on. I'm like, nah, I need to. If you're not going to get me in 20 minutes, then fuck it. I'm not doing it.
Exactly. There are horror movies that I've started to watch on Netflix because you know how they have the ones everybody knows, and then they have more obscure ones,
Yeah,
independent ones or whatever. And
right.
I'm in it 10 minutes, and I'm like, I want to kill you. So I don't care if you get killed now. I'm not invested. I gotta go. I'm
Die.
out. Yeah, I'm just done. So
Yeah.
yeah, I but anyway, I just it's been a long time since I found like a series that I was just like, oh
Yeah,
my God.
it's been a while for me too. But yeah, check out Ozark.
I
It's
will.
Jason Bateman. It's
I
about money
love
laundering.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, and it's done well. And it's not one of them ones where like by episode 4 you'll kind of get into it right from the get go. At least in my opinion, I did. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
I'll definitely check it. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so
Yeah, it's very good. But there's
will check
like
that
Stranger
out.
Things I've never seen. Everyone's like, you got to see Stranger Things. You know, one show I never watched and I never will, only because it's like 47 seasons is The Walking Dead, which would be right up my alley probably, but it's way too far in for me to give a shit now. But everyone's like Walking Dead, but I wish I had.
I will say this. There will come a day when although you have a ton of options to watch, there won't be anything on. And
Right.
I would suggest to watch The Walking Dead, and I'll tell you why.
I feel I know too much about it to watch it now because I've heard the main character 12 seasons later. So
okay. Maybe then don't watch it.
Yeah, I know a little too much about it.
You'll probably forget. But
I have forgotten, honestly, the names, but I remembered because it used to be like actually like broadcast, like when, you know.
Yeah, it still is it's on AMC.
Oh, yeah, they
on Sundays.
Remember.
Don't say anything in case people aren't there yet, but I feel it is a good series, and I do think you would like it. And you would have the advantage that the rest of us did not have, which is the wait in between seasons. And that's another series that took a mid-season break. So they would air from September through October and a little bit into November, but right before Thanksgiving, they would take a mid-season break, and that wouldn't be back until like January or not until April.
What's the show that it's a network show? And my wife and I, we did watch, and I got sick of it. Where they did, that was the new trend where they took a break. It was a popular show. It's still on, as far as I know, it's on. It has Mandy Moore in it, and who's the guy who plays her husband?
Isn't that About Us or something like that?
Yes. Did you watch that?
I haven't. Everybody keeps talking about it, but see, again, I've been so spoiled with no commercials.
This is us. Is what it is.
This is us. That's it. This is us. Okay. With the no commercials, but then I got spoiled by not having to wait with the mid-season break.
They never did that before. Like you said, they'd go to like around Halloween, maybe the week after, and then like then the hiatus till like January, February, and it's like you never used to do that. I know around Christmas time things get you have the holiday shows, and then in January or February everything comes back to normal.
Right.
And they were taking these like long breaks. And the problem with that show, and I did watch it, and it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool at first until it just focused on like this the guy, I can't think of his name, the actor. So he's not a bad actor, but he became like the end all be all, like the world's greatest husband, father. I'm like, this isn't real life. This is all such bullshit. It had a little drama mixed in, but I'm like, come on. I'm like, he was like the greatest American hero, and I just got tired of it. So we aborted that after I think season 2. Yeah, and I think it's still on.
Yeah, it is. Nice, Sam. Thanks for coming. I just feel like, I don't know what that new trend is about. I really don't. I think that the networks, if I'm remembering right, hold on, anyway, I think that the network was
you're not beating a child.
No. Not today.
Not yet.
Not yet. I think that they started doing that because it was intended for there to be a break, and then they would introduce newer shows that were going to be for like the summer
Like
and
mid-season shows, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then I think that's what it was intended for. But then now it's just annoying, and I don't like it. So I try. I don't think I've watched regular TV in forever, and the only thing that I watch now, if I do watch regular TV, is like I watch Netflix, Hulu, and stuff like that. But I also I watch ID.
Yeah.
Hello, that's where I get a lot of my material
Yeah.
from.
No,
In fact,
we do ID.
ID did a special on the death of a cheerleader case. It was really well
Oh,
done,
wow.
actually.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm supposed to still watch that tonight. The only network show I was football. That's the only thing I can think of that I watch. It's actually on network television on Sundays
Yeah.
or Monday or Thursday, whatever day it happens to be on. But yeah, I think that's the only time I don't watch the news at all. I get enough news. I don't need to watch it.
Right.
And like you said, ID, yeah.
Hmm.
And I think that's it. I walked downstairs. My wife, did you watch Trailer Park Boys?
I haven't. Everybody keeps telling me to
Okay,
do it.
she's watching that right now. That's all right.
I might have to. I might have to check it
It's
out.
funny. It's funny. I think it's
I'll
really
check
old
it out.
though. I think it's really old.
It is old. It is,
Yeah,
but I think it's supposed to be really good.
it is
So,
funny.
well, what do you think? Should we end this?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's end it. You go watch Death of a Cheerleader, and we'll be back tomorrow.
yeah, that sounds cool. All right, I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Thank you so much. I enjoy having you up. I always enjoy our conversations. We
Well,
have
thank
some
you.
really
Thank you. I
great
hope I'm not annoying
conversations.
and like whatever, redundant and all
No,
that. So it's cool. I do enjoy
no,
talking to you guys and seeing everybody around here. So
you're not
I like the
redundant
fact that
at
you're
all.
not dramatic. Thank you for not being
You're
dramatic.
welcome. I'm an Aquarius. We can be, but we choose not to be. We mostly are reserved.
Well, that's fine. You know,
We pick our moments.
right, but no, it's this is refreshing as shit compared to what'd you call it, Napkin Gate?
Napkin Gate.
Thank God. All right, Jen, have a great night, and hopefully
You
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
too. Cool. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you
All
so
right,
much,
see
Miss and Miss.
everybody. Have a good
Bye.
one. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. I just want to thank everybody for coming and hanging in with me for, golly, three hours now. I think this is the longest live I've ever done. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mo. And I will see you guys tomorrow night at 9 Eastern for What Happened to Bernadette Prodi. Bye.